Chapter 581, I Am the Last One. Jormungandr's Mental World. Beyond the pitch-black darkness, an eerie blue light gleamed coldly, glaring at Jormungandr. "Cuck, is that you, Fenrir?" Jormungandr spoke, staring directly into the darkness. His voice brimmed with confidence. If he hadn't transcended his limits, he would have been scared, but now things were different. There's no rule saying I have to die. In fact, Jormungandr considered it fortunate that he had encountered Blackie right now. If he could devour Blackie's mind and grow his body further, he'd easily be able to spit out Earthworm. This time, I'll chew you it thoroughly before swallowing. As Jormungandr flicked his tongue while looking at Blackie, the number of glowing blue lights in the darkness increased. Grrrr. Thump thump. Slowly walking out of the darkness, and revealing himself was the massive wolf Blackie with dark blue fur. Thump thump. Jormungandr, it's been a while. Following Blackie, Eamdal with his massive rock body appeared and... It's been a while. Then the giant spider Gomi also made her appearance. Behind them, the Blackie family revealed themselves in order of rank and surrounded Jormungandr. What the hell, Fenrir, aren't you supposed to be a noble wolf that hunts gods? You're supposed to fight alone. Why aren't you fighting alone? This isn't right. Jormungandr was bewildered at how things were unfolding contrary to his expectations. And then, Fenrir, am I not your friend? Bang! Starting with Blackie's first punch, the Blackie family's group beating began. Kaboom bang! Smack smack! I couldn't sleep because of you. You bullied me for being the youngest, didn't you? Now you're the youngest. How dare you try to swallow me? The Snake faction's attacks were especially fierce. I surrender, please spare me. And so Jormungandr raised the white flag, experiencing firsthand that there's no defense against a group beating. Grrrr, fine, then tell me where you hid the treasure. Blackie asked Jormungandr, while raising the corner of his mouth. What, treasure? Our Basugu saw you hiding a shiny object. If you claim ignorance, things might get very interesting. Grrrr. When Blackie growled and threatened, Muckpupil, Basugu, and Siptiaku silently prepared to attack. If it's the shiny object, I know what you're talking about. I'll give it to you. Having gotten a hint from Blackie's words, Jormungandr hurriedly took out a shiny black object, stone of 10,000 poisons. A stone formed from the condensed remnants of poisons left over after Jormungandr digested his prey. It contains over 10,000 kinds of poisons and is lethal enough to poison even gods or great dragons upon contact. In other words, if it were given to Sejun, he would die instantly. Grrrr, Basugu, bow your head. Blackie glared murderously at Basugu, who had almost provided information that could have killed Sejun, and ordered. Yes. Basugu immediately slammed his head to the ground, saying anything unnecessary here would only earn a beating. It's ruined. The grand plan of bringing the beautiful gemstone to Sejun and exchanging it for roasted and dried sweet potato snacks was now ruined for Blackie. Thwack. Urg. In his frustration, Blackie smacked the back of Jormungandr's head. Why hit me after I gave it to you? While Jormungandr was feeling wronged. Now the next question. I heard you were nearby when Destruction Nim fell. Was that your doing? Blackie asked another question. Me, I was elsewhere at the time. Liar, I saw you. You were right next to Destruction Nim when he fell. Siptiaku shouted vehemently at Jormungandr's answer. If he made a mistake, he might end up like Basugu, slamming his head to the ground. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. How dare the youngest speak so informally? I was. Jormungandr hurriedly tried to adjust his speech, but this is insubordination. The youngest needs to be taught a lesson. Whack thwack thwack. Muckpupil and Siptiaku, who had been looking for any excuse to hit him, eagerly raised their fists against Jormungandr. Let's hit him first. Basugu, who had been bowing his head, secretly joined in. A moment later. Sob, but it really wasn't me. At that time I was somewhere else on an errand for the Creator God. Jormungandr, whose white body had turned blue with bruises becoming a blue snake, spoke while sniffling. Grrr, is that true? Yes, it's true. If you ask the Creator God or the first apostle of the Creator, Emila, they can prove my innocence. He's not lying. Judging from Jormungandr's reaction, it seemed true that he wasn't present when destruction fell into corruption. Then what's going on? It wasn't possible that Siptiaku would lie to him either. This is very suspicious. Blackie had a strong feeling that there was something going on that they didn't yet understand. But that wasn't the most important matter at the moment. I wonder what name the butler will give him. Blackie was far more curious about the new name Sejun would come up with for Jormungandr. Everyone, let's go out. With that, Blackie led his subordinates out. Inside Jormungandr's stomach, you're a field. LV-9 has been activated. You've planted a detoxifying green onion seed in the body of Jormungandr, the greed that devours the world and third seat of the Apostle of Destruction. While waiting for Blackie family to wake up, Sejun was busy planting crops inside Jormungandr's stomach lining. As he was deeply engrossed in planting, you have prevented the invasion of destruction into Earthworm. You have completed the quest. As a quest completion reward, peace has returned to Earthworm and 15,192 other worlds. Upon completing the quest, rewards began to appear. The rewards included plus 100 to all stats, power, sturdy body, and official appointment as a mid-level administrator of the White Tower. However, title, one who glimpsed long into the beginning, was activated, and power, sturdy body, was absorbed. Power, mighty strength. Power, mighty stamina. Along with 4 other powers. And indestructible sturdy body. Even if you suffer fatal damage, as long as you have remaining magic power and vitality, your body will not break. Your body becomes sturdier, reducing damage received. All stat potential plus 1000. All stats plus 300. All of these effects combined into a single upgraded power. Oh, this is nice. While Sejun was reviewing the enhanced powers options. Kilahit Kang. Butler, the great Blackie has exorcised this one. Blackie, who had regained consciousness, called out to Sejun while holding a blue snake about the thickness of a finger and as long as a handspan in his mouth. Y'all. It was Jormungandr, whose white body had turned blue even in reality, reflecting how badly he was beaten in the mental world. Good job, my little Blackie. When Sejun fed Blackie a piece of roasted and dried sweet potato as a reward for his hard work. Chomp, chomp, chomp. King. Butler, give him a name. While enjoying the sweet potato snack, Blackie asked Sejun to give Jormungandr a new name. Finally, the time has come. Sejun braced himself as he began to scrutinize Jormungandr carefully, determined to pick the perfect name based on his traits. No matter how great the first 11 names he had come up with were, if he messed up the 12th, it would all be for nothing. Adding the eyes to the dragon's painting. TL. This and the next line are both idioms borrowed from Chinese. The first one means adding finishing touches. It comes from a story about a painter who painted 4 dragons but did not paint their eyes. He claimed that if he did, the dragons would fly away. When asked to prove it, he drew eyes on 2 of them and both came to life and flew away. Ending things beautifully. TL. This one means something like finishing something strong. A good final name was essential to make everything else seem right. HMPH. I've prepared for this moment with the 11th naming strategy. It's all about assembling Chinese characters. If you place Chinese letter 1 above Chinese letter 10, you get Chinese letter GAN. If you place Chinese letter 1 below Chinese letter 10, you get Chinese letter 2. Jormungandr, who makes yal sounds, is a snake, blue from bruises, and somewhat resembles a fat innkeeper worm. As Sejun carefully examined Jormungandr's features, his nomming shop was officially open. Thump thump. Blackie family gazed at Sejun with sparkling eyes, their expressions brimming with anticipation. And then, Pipyukun, Pipyukun. Sukun, Sukun. Diakun, Diakun. The excitement from the 8, 9, 10 line members, who had been waiting for this moment, was especially high. Amid everyone's eager expectations, Sejun began the task of nomming. Let's see, it's blue and looks like a fat innkeeper worm, so how about Pagido, TL? Kopagetoinus Pagido equals Kopainus Pa from Kopadense, inus, which means blue plus Kogeinus, Gi from Kogebuenus, which means fat innkeeper worm or pen asterisk s fish plus Hanya Chinese letter, 2. Or maybe combining Jormungandr and its bruises Jomianto, TL. Koyamontoinus, Jomianto equals from Jormungandr plus Komungenus, Miang means bruise plus Hanya Chinese letter, 2. Since it has blue bruises, Peimangan, TL, Kopemunkan enus, Peimangan equals Kopainus, Pa from Kopadense, enus which means blue plus Komungenus, Miang means bruise plus Hanya Chinese letter Gan. Or since it's a snake resembling a fat innkeeper worm, Gisegan, TL, Kogesakan enus, Gisegan equals Kogeinus, Gi from Kogebuenus, which means fat innkeeper worm or pen asterisk s fish plus Kosaenus. Sa probably from Kosudoenus, meaning apostle plus Hanya Chinese letter Gan. None of these are good. None of the names had that spark of inspiration. Nyarori. For a moment, he recalled the name of the snake character from an old cartoon about the 12 zodiac animals he had watched as a child. TL. It's talking about Ito Ranger. No, Nyarori was kind. He decided to protect the name. Who exactly he was protecting it from, he didn't know, but still. And, he fell into thought again. This needs some storytelling. Sejun began recalling Jormungandr's story. He ate his friend. Blackie spared his life in exchange for 7 roasted and dried sweet potato snacks. And he has blue bruises from being beaten. He looks like a fat innkeeper worm. Since he's the last one to join the Apostles of Destruction, he'll be the youngest forever. Perfect something coming to me now. If he's forever the youngest, what does the future look like for him? Black. While the bruises might heal and disappear naturally, the resemblance to a fat innkeeper worm won't change. So a black fat innkeeper worm means Kabulto, Kabulto, wow, TL, Kohabuthoinus Kabulto equals Ko, Hainus, Ka from Koheming, Inus, meaning black plus Kopuinus, Bul is from Kohabuinus, which means to don't act out or not mess around, which is the taken from the above storytelling. Also, if you notice, it also contains Ko, Hainus, so it becomes double meaning, and another part is explained in another not below plus Hanya Chinese letter, 2. The more he said it, the more he felt it was a great name. And the symmetry, starting with Blackie and ending with Kabulto. Perfect. TL. Blackie's name in Korean romanized is Kamengi, so the starting name starting with Ka in Kamengi, and the ending name ending with Ka in Kabulto, all coming to a full circle. This is genius, even if I say so myself. Ha, isn't this too perfect? As Sejun celebrated his nomming masterpiece. Kilahit Kaying. He, Kabulto, don't act up from now on. This is the butler's nomming skill at its peak. Don't act out, Kabulto. K. Kurug. Sharalang. Blackie family began teasing Kabulto about his new name, excited and full of energy. And then the effect of talent, Namer has been activated. The name Kabulto has been imbued with a special effect. All stats increase by 101. Power Black Flame has been granted. Special effects were imbued in the name Kabulto. Power, Black Flame, allowed the creation of black flames that would not extinguish until they had burned their target completely. As an added note, it was mentioned that, likely due to the flame in the name, the flames became stronger on Saturdays. TL. So the another meaning of Bul is flame, and the reasoning for it becoming stronger on Saturdays is because the name Kanatans too, which in this context taken from Kot Hoyoi inus, toil meaning Saturday. Thus, Cabolto became the youngest member of Blackie family with a fitting new name. Peepoo. Hey youngest, massage my legs. Yo yo. Bebe. Hey youngest, bring me some water. Yo yo. Heat it. Hey youngest, aren't you going to clean this place? Yo yo. Calls for the youngest came from all directions, leaving Cabolto with no time to rest. I am the last one. Cabolto belatedly regretted being the last to join Blackie family. I think we should leave Jormungandr's body as it is. Leaving Jormungandr's stomach behind, Sejun returned to Earthworm. Jormungandr was simply too big to fit into the void storage. Moreover, according to Kaiser, the current location of Earthworm was at the outskirts of destruction. Removing Earthworm from there would expose it to the surrounding energy of destruction, which wasn't ideal. On the other hand, within Jormungandr's body, the energy of destruction was being safely converted into energy of creation, making it a safer choice. A Trojan horse, if you will. Hezeli. As Sejun let out a sinister laugh. Meow. Great Hybrid Chairman Park's face is getting ugly, meow. Poke poke. Unable to tolerate Sejun's increasingly ugly expression, Theo urgently began administering emergency treatment with his front paws. Since even he thought he looked a bit ugly this time, he quietly received Theo's massage. After a moment, Pew hut, all done, meow. Your face is back to its usual level of ugliness, meow. I, Vice Chairman Theo, have saved Chairman Park's face, meow. Theo wiped his forehead with his paw, feeling proud after saving Sejun's face. And then Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun has successfully persuaded Jormungandr, the greed that devours the world and third seat of the Apostle of Destruction. Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun has completed the task of persuading all 12 Apostles of Destruction. 6 tasks remain. Phew, that's a relief. Earthworm is safe now. Even the Creator God wiped his forehead in relief. Chapter 582, Seniors, I Did It. Black Tower, 99th floor. All right. When Sejun, who had returned from Earthworm yesterday and fallen asleep at home, opened his eyes. Pew hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park has woken up, meow. Hurry, let's go complete the job quest, meow. Kueha Kuung. Haha, let's go quickly. Theo and Kuungi, who had been waiting for Sejun to wake up with all their gear packed, urged him to hurry. Let's go for the job quest tomorrow. It was just a casual remark Sejun had thrown out last night. Going on a job quest with the Great Hybrid Chairman Park, meow. So exciting, meow. To complete a job quest together with Dad, so thrilling. That one remark had Theo and Kuungi so excited that they couldn't sleep and spent the entire night preparing for the job quest. Of course, there wasn't much to prepare, so they spent most of their remaining time playing with Peacebees. Let's eat breakfast before we go, Sejun said as he woke up, gathering his companions. They could have just eaten on the way when they got hungry, but there was one being who would feel sad if they did that. Ace. Hiding in the green onion field, Ace looked at him with wistful eyes. Sejun couldn't ignore that gaze. If Ace was behaving that way, it meant Aileen was watching from somewhere. Haha, then I need to show Aileen a cool side of me. Tab tab. Sejun exaggerated his movements and cooked noisily, making an unnecessary ruckus. And then, today I'll make grilled fish that our Vice Chairman Theo likes, honey garitiok that Kuungi likes, and yongari chicken. Sejun spoke loudly to himself, signaling Ace. Baby brother-in-law, you can count on me. Brother-in-law, thank you. As Sejun and Ace exchanged fiery glances of camaraderie, deepening their bond. Kaying. Hey, Butler, what about the Great Blackie? You forgot the roasted and dried sweet potato slices that the Great Blackie loves. When Sejun forgot about him, Blackie barked furiously. This was a grave matter that couldn't just be brushed aside. But Blackie was caught lying, so he's banned from roasted and dried sweet potato slices for a week. There are still 6 days left. In this household, the butler's word was law. Kaying. Blackie drooped, crestfallen by Sejun's decree. At that moment, "That's right, my secret stash." Kilahit Kaying. Hehe, Great Blackie had it all planned for moments like this. Great Blackie has a plan. Remembering his secret stash, Blackie hurriedly dashed off. Pabababik eagerly dug up the dirt covering his secret storage. But, Kaying. Inside Blackie's secret stash, the roasted and dried sweet potato slices had mysteriously vanished without a trace. Pew Hut. Great Hybrid Chairman Park said Blackie is banned from roasted and dried sweet potato slices for a week. Meow. Kuang. That's right. That's why we took them for safekeeping early in the morning. Theo and Kuangi, anticipating such a scenario, had gone and collected the roasted and dried sweet potato slices at dawn. Kaying. My roasted and dried sweet potato slices are gone. Blackie sat dejectedly in front of his empty secret stash, looking like he'd lost his homeland. That pitiful, pathetic, yet adorable sight tugged at the heartstrings. My heart's softening. Seeing Blackie like that, Sejun took one roasted and dried sweet potato slice and finally chopped it into the honey gari diok. Soon after, the cooking was complete. Aileen, how are the sales for the Dragon Market these days? The tower's administrator says she need to check the ledger and asks you to wait a moment. Sejun struck up a conversation with Aileen to divert her attention. Baby brother-in-law, now's your chance. Yes, brother-in-law. Flap. Reading Sejun's gaze, Ace quickly flew into the kitchen. Puahiti, brother-in-law, thank you. Hehe, we have to help each other out. Then I'll be going. After expressing his gratitude to Sejun, Ace grabbed the Yongari chicken and vanished in a flash. Then the tower's administrator says last month's revenue was 1.314 trillion tower coins, and this month's revenue so far is 814.2 billion tower coins. Really? And there are still 10 days left in this month. Aileen, you're incredible. At this rate, the revenue for this month could exceed last month's by 10–20%. Sejun, amazed by the figures, praised Aileen. In response, the tower's administrator shyly says it's because your crops and alcohol are excellent, and she didn't do anything. No, that's not true. Without Aileen, we couldn't have sold this much. It's all thanks to Aileen. It wasn't just flattery. Aileen had a natural talent for business. Especially when it came to raising prices, her ability was exceptional. Aileen, by the way, did you see me cooking earlier? Wasn't I cool? Sejun asked expectantly, his voice full of anticipation. The tower's administrator says she had something to check while you were cooking and couldn't watch. Really? The tower's administrator asks why. No reason, just asking. Hearing Aileen's reply, Sejun made a face that looked like he'd lost his homeland, just like Blackie earlier. It seemed that no one thought he was cute. Guys, let's eat. And so breakfast began after ending the conversation with Aileen. Pew Hut. As expected, the grilled fish of Great Hybrid Chairman Park is the best. Meow. Kuang. Hehe, the honey gari dioks are delicious. Theo and Kuangi ate with delight, truly enjoying their meal. Chomp. Blackie, on the other hand, ate the honey gari dioks with a soulless expression. Why are they so delicious? Feeling irritated for no reason, Blackie silently took out his frustration on the honey gari dioks. And then, a chewy texture suddenly filled his mouth. This is. In Blackie's mind, the image of yellow, chewy roasted and dried sweet potato slices appeared. Kivihit. The occasional bites of roasted and dried sweet potato slices made the corners of Blackie's mouth twitch upwards. I'll let it slide just this once. Watching Blackie, Sejun couldn't help but smile as the corners of his own mouth curled up too. Temple of the Creator God. Good, with the apostles of destruction gone, all that's left is to conquer the land of destruction. Thanks to Sejun, we've lightened our burden considerably. The Creator God smiled as he spoke. And then, So what should I do next? As the creator god closed his eyes, a massive library appeared before him. The creator god, with so much knowledge to grasp, had inherited the library of creation, filled with records from all previous creator gods from his predecessor. Good thing I didn't pass this on. Great Destruction Response Manual. When the creator god spoke the name of the book inside the library, swish! A thick book flew off the shelf toward him. It was so large that it nearly required him to stretch both arms to hold it. Ever since the birth of destruction, the creator god had been using this manual to respond to it. Even the construction of the tower, the creator god's tablet, and his missions had been carried out using the manual as a guide. Oh, here it is. Though unlikely, if all the apostles of destruction have been persuaded, seal the Black Moon door while cultivating the land of destruction to prevent corruption from escaping. The creator god found the passage he was looking for in the manual. Though unlikely, seniors, I did it. Although he wasn't the one who had achieved this, the creator god felt inexplicably proud as he chuckled over the contents of the manual. But seal the Black Moon door. Seems like Sejun is already doing that. The energy of creation produced by Jormungandr's body was slowly purging the energy of destruction. Moreover, cultivating the land of destruction was something only Sejun could do. With just the two current apostles of creation, it was impossible to cultivate the land of destruction. Should I wait for Sejun to grow stronger? I've got 20 years left in my lifespan. I should take care of what I can before Sejun comes. The creator god began looking for tasks he could accomplish while waiting for Sejun. Once breakfast was finished, slurp, Sejun sipped the coffee Kyungi had brewed for him. Go call Piat and Urin. Were? He asked the poisonous bee to call Piat and Urin. After all, with the unlucky Urin around, Theo's money-making speed would increase by dozens of times. While sipping his coffee, Pio, Sejun Nim hello. Yuehe hello. Piat and Urin appeared. Thanks to the rigorous training he had received from the Minotaur King, Urin had become skilled at controlling his strength. Once everyone had gathered. All right, let's set off. Sejun led his group as they moved to the waypoint. Their plan was to first head to the 75th floor's Merchant Street in the tower to earn money and gather information on herbs. Before long, when Sejun and his companions arrived at the 75th floor and entered Merchant Street, Theo's first customer appeared. Hey pig, stop right there. Hand over all you have and I might just let you live. A Badger tribe bandit quietly threatening Urin while silently unsheathing his claws. Even though they were all together, he specifically targeted only Urin. As expected, Urin's customer attraction effect was extraordinary. Hut, welcome, meow. Thud. Excited to meet a bandit, Theo effortlessly subdued him. Press. He then stamped the bandit's forehead 3 times, officially making him a 3-year contract employee of Sejun Company. Theo began rummaging through the bandit's belongings. Hut, Chairman Park, I've earned us 1 million tower coins, meow. Theo handed over the money he had taken from the bandit to Sejun. It seemed the bandit must have pulled off a big score recently, as he had an unusually large amount of money for someone in his line of work. Well done. Though it was a minuscule amount compared to the 100 trillion tower coins they needed to earn in total, every journey begins with a single step. Let's take him to Jira's. There might even be a bounty on his head. With the unconscious Badger tribe bandit in tow, they headed to Jira's at the headquarters of the Wandering Merchant Association. Oh, he's Cow, the youngest of the infamous blood-striped Badger brothers. Let's see, his bounty is. Recognizing the bandit, Jira searched through a pile of bounty posters. The bounty is 1 million tower coins. Jira's revealed Cow's bounty. Hut, once you're released, come to Sejun Company to work, meow. Yes. Theo woke the unconscious Cow and informed him that after his release, he would have to work for Sejun Company for 3 years. Meow meow meow. Feeling great after already accomplishing something as soon as they arrived, Theo clung to Sejun's knee as they walked through Merchant Street, humming a tune. Kyung kyung. Kaying kaying. Dal dal. K-kurug K-kurug. Even Kyungi and the Blackie family joined in with their songs. Pio pio. Kyuig kyuig. Following behind Sejun, Piat and Urin joined in belatedly. At that moment, "Hey, you think you own this place. Why is it so noisy? My ears are bleeding. How are you going to compensate me?" "I'll avenge my brother." A badger bearing 2 red stripes on his body picked a fight with Sejun's group. It was Rao, the second brother of the infamous blood-striped badger brothers. "Your ears aren't even bleeding. What compensation?" When Sejun pointed at Rao's clean hands and asked, "It's a figure of speech. I mean my ears are hurting. You don't understand that. Are you stupid?" Rao shouted. It was of course a very poor choice. "Heck, did you just call our great hybrid Chairman Park stupid? Meow." "Kyung. We'll teach him a lesson." "Kaying. You dare disrespect my butler." Theo, Kyungi, and Blackie, all enraged by the insult to Sejun, simultaneously charged at the thug. Thud sud thud. Pew Hugh Hut, great hybrid Chairman Park, here's 3 million tower coins. Meow. While Theo knocked out the badger and retrieved the money from his belongings to hand over to Sejun. "Grrrr, so you dared call my butler stupid." Even while unconscious, Rao was subjected to further punishment. A short while later, "Pew Hugh Hut Jiras, how much is the bounty for this one?" Meow. Theo pointed at Rao and asked Jiras upon their return. "Ah, this guy is the second brother of the blood-striped badger brothers, a con artist named Rao. His bounty is 7 million tower coins." "Pew Hugh Hut, hurry up and hand it over." Meow. "Yes, here it is." Thus, without doing much, Theo earned 12 million tower coins as he exited the headquarters of the Wandering Merchant Association. "For my brother's revenge." A giant honey badger came charging at them. Thud. Naturally, he was subdued immediately and, "Pew Hugh Hut, you dared to target great hybrid Chairman Park." Meow. "You're now a permanent employee." Meow. Press. Theo stamped the honey badger's forehead and headed back to Jira's office. And then, Jira's case log. The notorious blood-striped badger brothers, infamous for their robberies on the 70th floor of the tower. With the help of Sejun Nim and his companions, all 3 brothers, Gao, Rao, and Kao, were successfully captured. Total bounty of 22 million tower coins paid in full. Jiras was able to comfortably solve one case while just sitting in his office. Chapter 583, Pew Hugh Hut. Chairman Park has grown a lot. Meow. Black Tower, 75th floor. Soup. As Sejun entered the alley in the shopping district where herbs were being sold, he took a deep breath, and the strong smell of medicinal herbs filled his nose. "Wow, it smells healthy," Sejun said with sparkling eyes, a very typical sunfish-like reaction. However, "Meow, I don't like it." Meow. "Kyung, it's not great, but Kyungi will endure it." Kaying. "I'd rather sleep." Pio. "I've lost my appetite." The reactions of his companions weren't so favorable. The reason Sejun and his companions had come here, of course, was to gather herbs for Kyungi's job quest. "All right, let's look for some herbs." Sejun and his group entered the herbal shop located at the very entrance of the alley. "Kyungi, what about this one?" Sejun picked up one of the displayed herbs and placed it in Kyungi's paws. However, "Kyung, no, it's not this." Kyungi shook his head. Contrary to Sejun's idea that anything good for the body could be considered an herb, the system had to officially recognize it to fulfill the requirements of the job quest. "Really? Why isn't this considered a medicinal herb?" Sejun, puzzled, asked. "Owner, how much is this?" He decided to purchase the herb anyway. Naturally, he haggled 3 times for a cheaper price. Then I'll sell it to you for 1,000 tower coins. Perhaps because it was a medicinal herb, the base price was still expensive. The reason Sejun bought the herb was crunch crunch. To eat it himself, of course. You have consumed a 10-year-old deodak root. All stats have increased by 3. Your vitality has increased by 30% for 12 hours. You have consumed a bitter medicinal herb. Talent, a medicine that's bitter is good for stamina, has been activated. Stamina has increased by 1. Pew hut, something like this is nothing to me now. I'm someone who's trained by fainting every night after eating medicinal mugwort. For Sejun, who had adapted to the bitterness that would knock someone unconscious, a 10-year-old deodak root was like a sweet snack. In this manner, Sejun went around to other herbal shops. Kyungi, how about this? Kyung. No, it's not this. He would place an herb in Kyungi's paws to confirm, and if it wasn't the right one, he would buy it for himself to eat. By the time he had visited half of the herbal shops in the alley, we've found 2 so far. They had secured 2 herbs that satisfied Kyungi's job quest. They were ginseng and hishu wu. Fortunately, they could also buy seeds, so it seemed possible to grow the medicinal herbs. They continued visiting herb shops after that, but herbs that received Kyung's approval were hard to find. Kyungi, what about this one? Kyung. No, it's not this one. Kyungi answered in a dejected voice, seemingly feeling sorry for Sejun. Growl. Is it because he is hungry? Let's eat lunch first and come back. At Sejun's suggestion, his companions cheered, thinking they could escape from the overwhelming herbal smell for a while. After having lunch, they returned to the herbal alley. Reinvigorated, they visited the herbal shops one by one again. Before they realized it, they had reached the end of the alley without any new results. Then they entered the last shop. Let's at least find one here. As Sejun entered the shop. Oh, it's a doreji. Recognizing the purple-flowered plant, he felt excited. This has to be an herb. Sejun was convinced. Then, Kyungi, what about this? Sejun placed the doreji in Kyungi's front paw. Kyung. Yes, this is it, this is the one. Kyungi enthusiastically nodded his head. Great, do you have seeds for this as well? Yes, we do. 1,000 seeds are 30 tower coins. Then give me 1 50-year-old doreji and 10,000 seeds. A 50-year-old doreji and 10,000 seeds, that will be 5,300 tower coins. Pew hut, give me a discount, meow. When the merchant spoke, Theo used his 3-time haggling to slash the price. All right, I'll give it to you for 2,500 tower coins. Pew hut, sounds good, meow. They had managed to purchase it for less than half the price. Just as they were about to leave the herbal alley after securing 3 medicinal herbs for Kyung's job quest. Meow, great hybrid Chairman Park, I feel a pull, meow. Theo, who was clinging to Sejun's knee, raised his front paw and shouted in an excited voice. Really, where is it? Sejun asked in a delighted voice. That way, meow. Theo pointed with his front paw in the direction he felt the pull, and Sejun quickly ran in that direction. The pull could disappear at any moment. Small leather is 1 tower coin, and large leather is 5 tower coins. The place he arrived at was a stall run by a lizardman hunter in shabby clothes, selling a few pieces of leather in a gruff voice. Vice Chairman Theo, do you feel the pull from this leather? Sejun asked. No, meow, it's over there, meow. Theo shook his head and pointed at the worn-out, faded leather bag of the hunter. And, Pew hut, what's inside the bag, meow? Show us, meow. Theo asked the hunter to show the bag with an innocent face. What is this rude cat, and why is it so curious about what's in my bag? The lizardman hunter, Olivo, looked at Theo with a disapproving expression but, surprisingly, opened his bag obediently. Rattle. He emptied everything inside the bag. Despite his expression, he was very polite. What came out of the bag were tools used for hunting and skinning, along with fresh meat wrapped in bark of a dark hue, which fell onto the leathers displayed on the ground. Suddenly, a sweet and slightly spicy scent wafted through the air. Oh, it's cinnamon! Sejun recognized the cinnamon smell and followed the scent to the tree bark that had wrapped the raw meat. Oh, you know cinnamon. If you place it around fresh meat, it prevents the meat from spoiling, so in our village, we always store meat this way. Surprised that Sejun recognized cinnamon, Olivo kindly explained. Can I touch it for a moment? Of course, here you go. Olivo handed one piece of cinnamon-wrapped meat to Sejun. Kyungi, how about this? Sejun placed the cinnamon bark into Kyungi's front paw. Kyung. This is it. Kyung only needs to find one more. Kyungi, holding the cinnamon bark, nodded vigorously with excitement. Excuse me, would it be possible to get seeds for this cinnamon? I don't have any now, but there are plenty on the mountain behind our village. Where is your village? It's in the northern area of the 63rd floor of the tower. Really? Then could you bring me some seeds? Since Sejun didn't have a land deed for the 63rd floor, he asked Olivo to bring him cinnamon seeds. How much do you need? I need about 10,000 seeds. In that case, considering the time it takes to go back and forth and the labor involved, you'd have to pay 12 tower coins. 12 tower coins is enough to support my family for 4 months. Thinking about earning 4 months' worth of living expenses in one go, Olivo spoke with a slightly nervous voice. It would take 10 days to travel back and forth, plus 2 days to gather the seeds on Mount Simon with the help of his entire family. The 12 tower coins were calculated without taking into account the labor involved, simply valuing each day at 1 tower coin. While the price might seem unreasonable to others, for Olivo, it was a perfectly rational amount. At that moment, that won't do, meow. Theo stepped forward. Although Theo usually liked to exploit easy deals, he couldn't stand something this severe. That's right, I'll pay 200 tower coins for the cinnamon seeds. Sejun also stepped in, raising the price. He had adjusted the price based on the market rate of herb seeds he had checked while visiting herbal shops, adding extra for the effort of traveling to the 63rd floor. Oh, really? Olivo asked, astonished at the offer that raised the price by more than 10 times. Pew hut, that's right, meow. Our great hybrid Chairman Park never lies, meow, because Chairman Park has fur on his butts. Theo shouted boastfully. Hey! Sejun hurriedly stopped Theo by covering his mouth. Meanwhile, Olivo, worried that Sejun might change his mind, quickly packed his belongings into his bag and prepared to leave. Then, oh, now that I think about it, I haven't introduced myself. My name is Olivo, so shall we meet back here in 12 days? Yes, and my name is Park Sejun. Here's the advance payment. Sejun, after introducing himself, handed 50 tower coins to Olivo. Judging by Olivo's appearance, he seemed to be in need of money. Thank you. Olivo hesitated for a moment before accepting the money, then hurriedly left. Meow, Olivo didn't ask me for my name, meow. Theo, who had been revving up to give an impressive self-introduction if Olivo asked, looked dejected. As Sejun silently patted Theo's bottom. Growl. A sound came from Kyung's stomach. Let's go get something to eat. Pew hut sounds good, meow. Kyung. Kaying. Pio. Yuehe, yes. Thanks to Kyung's belly clock, Sejun realized it was dinner time and entered a restaurant with his companions. Please bring us 3 servings of everything on the menu, and please prepare the fastest to make dishes first. When Sejun ordered the food, Chairman Park, Vice Chairman wants to eat wants churu, meow. Theo, sprawled out on Sejun's lap, demanded churu. Here you go. Pew hut. Slurp slurp slurp. Sejun gave Theo some churu, while taking out peanuts to give to Piat. Pio. Thank you, Sejun Nim. Peg peg. As Piat thanked Sejun, and eagerly pecked at the peanuts with his beak. Ko. Pieg. The crow Karurur and the blue chick Shari looked on with interest. Though they had seen peanuts before, Piat's mukbang was something new. Then, Ko, Sejun Nim, we want to eat peanuts too. Piak, please give us peanuts. Karurur and Shari requested peanuts from Sejun. All right. When Sejun gave a small portion of peanuts to the two. Peck, peck. The two birds eagerly pecked at the peanuts, enjoying them. However, their eating pace gradually slowed, and soon they stopped eating altogether. After all, Sejun Nim's roasted and dried sweet potatoes are the best. Peanuts were delicious, but they couldn't compare to their soul food, roasted and dried sweet potatoes. A short while later, the food started coming out one by one, and Sejun and his companions enjoyed their meal. When about half the dishes had arrived, "Hey, piggy friend, you're eating a lot of good stuff. Share some with us." Bang! 5 raccoons, who looked like troublemakers at a glance, slammed the table and surrounded Urin. Theonim, should I take care of them? When Urin, who had brought in customers, looked at Theo, who was lying on Sejun's lap, enjoying churu. Heck heck. Theo was in a state of great anger, even raising his fur. Drip. Because the food that splashed when the raccoons hit the table was dripping down Sejun's head. Kyung. Kaying. Realizing the situation a moment too late, both Kyungi and Blackie became enraged. The result of angering Theo, Kyungi and Blackie. Bam bam bam. Stomp. Thud. A 3-hit combo of fainting, stamping, and nightmares. Maintain cleanliness. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, here's 1,000 tower coins, meow. Theo handed over the money he had searched from the raccoons to Sejun, who had cleaned himself using his skill. Thanks to this, their dinner expenses were covered. When the meal was over, Pew Hut, let's go to Jira's, meow. Carrying the unconscious raccoons, they headed to claim the bounty. Hug. A familiar bag was lying on the ground. Next to it was a collapsed lizardman. It was none other than the lizardman hunter Olivo, who should have left long ago. Olivo. Sejun called out Olivo's name as he rushed over. See Sejun Nim. Olivo regained consciousness. Thankfully, his life wasn't in immediate danger. Olivo, what happened? When Sejun asked. Sejun Nim, it's dangerous. They're nearby, you must leave quickly. What are you talking about? Olivo looked around anxiously, trying to hurriedly send Sejun and his companions away. At that moment, QQ see, I told you, if we leave Olivo here as bait, someone would definitely take it. Right, Timmy, you're smart. Don't forget Idril Nim was the one who spotted Olivo receiving the money. Kekek. 10 black lizard men with black scales appeared, surrounding Sejun and his group. They joked leisurely as if enjoying the situation. And then, you dare interfere with my Kyung's job quest. Water bomb. Boom, boom, boom. They fainted after being hit by angry parent Sejun's water bomb attack. Pew Hut, Chairman Park has grown a lot, meow. Now I can coordinate with Chairman Park, meow. Theo looked on proudly as Sejun rendered the black lizard men unconscious and pulled out the seal to stamp them. Chapter 584, This is for your fare, meow. Jira's office. Currently, there are signs of a rebellion brewing in the Lizard Kingdom. An agent from the Secret Inspection Bureau of the Wandering Merchants Association was reporting to Jira's. Rebellion, who's behind it? It's the Black Shield Special Forces. The Black Shield, but they were disbanded. The Lizard Kingdom Special Forces, Black Shield. They were highly skilled, but their overconfidence in their abilities led them to commit numerous atrocities, which eventually resulted in their disbandment by the Lizard Kingdom, and the members were arrested. However, there were Black Shield members who had evaded capture, and the Lizardman Kingdom had placed a high bounty on their heads. Harboring resentment towards the kingdom for abandoning them, Captain Ulkin and his escaped members are leading the rebellion, and several residents of the tower have joined them. I understand for now. Yes, then I'll take my leave. Swoosh. With a polite bow, the agent from the Secret Inspection Bureau disappeared. Looks like I won't be going home tonight. Jiras sighed, realizing he'd be working overtime to prepare a report on this new information. Black Tower, 75th floor. Puhu Hut. For obstructing my little brother Kyungi and angering the great hybrid Chairman Park, you're now a permanent employee, meow. Press. Theo pressed the 9 dragons employee contract seal onto the forehead of a black lizardman who had been knocked unconscious by Sejun himself. Then, the 9 dragons employee contract seal has been stamped. The eternal contract has been activated. You have formed an eternal employee contract with the target. Messages appeared before Theo. An alliance has been established with the Black Tower's administrator, the great black dragon Aileen Pratani. From now on, Aileen Pratani, the great black dragon administrator of the Black Tower, will oversee and protect the allied employee. Unlike usual, an additional message had appeared. It was an alliance message with Aileen. Only targets subdued by Sejun, who was recognized by the Great 9 Dragons, could form alliances with the tower administrators and become allied employees. Puhu Hut. It feels good to work in sync with the great hybrid Chairman Park, meow. Theo cheered as he looked at the message, not because he had gained an alliance employee, but because he had achieved something alongside Sejun. Hee, how about that? Pretty good, right? Unaware of Theo's thoughts, Sejun, who had just dealt with the black lizard men, smugly extended his palm toward Theo. Indeed, Chairman Park is amazing, meow. Theo responded by extending his front paw, pressing it against Sejun's palm. Clap. It was a cheerful high five between Sejun and Theo. And then, Kyung. Dad, Kyungi wants a high five too. Kaying. Hey, butler, do it for me too. Naturally, as if it were their turn, Kyungi and Blackie extended their front paws toward Sejun. Clap. Clap. Sejun also gave high fives to their front paws. Once the high fives were done, Sejun Nim, thank you so much for your help. Olivo, who had finally recovered, bowed his head to Sejun to express his gratitude. But who are these guys? They seem to know you, Olivo Nim. They're subordinates of Herr Nim, the lord who collects taxes from our village. They probably came here on some business, and then targeted me when they saw that you, Sejun Nim, were giving me a large sum of money. Is that so? It's already late, so I think you should stay at a hotel tonight and leave tomorrow. I'll book a room for you. Sejun took Olivo to the best hotel on the 75th floor of the tower, the Golden Ship, and booked a room for him. Since it was run by Mimmer, Sejun and his party could use it for free anytime. After booking Olivo's room and returning, meow, Chairman Park, these guys are broke, meow. They hardly have any money, meow. Theo, who had searched through the black lizard men's possessions, was angry. Kaying. Dog fur, what's wrong with dogs? TL, so Theo used kogetha inus, which is a slang for broke but taken literally means dog fur. Blackie barked in indignation at Theo's words. Blackie, you're a wolf, though. Sejun corrected Blackie's sense of identity. Kaying. That's right, Great Blackie is a noble wolf. Great Blackie, you're a noble wolf. Blackie, who came to his senses at Sejun's words, seemed angry at himself for getting upset about dogs and growled to himself. What are you mad about now? Sejun patted the huffing Blackie before placing him into the sling bag. Let's go to Jira's. With his companions, 5 delinquent raccoons and 10 black lizard men, Sejun returned to Jira's. When they arrived at Jira's office, Sejun Nim, you're back again. Jira's welcomed them enthusiastically. That's because Sejun and his party had brought individuals who looked like criminals. Another case to solve. Looks like working overtime tonight wasn't such a bad idea. While Jira's was filled with anticipation. Jira's, do these guys have any bounties on their heads? Sejun asked. Let me check. These ones, they're just petty criminals, so there's no bounty on them. Jira's shook his head after checking the raccoons' faces. What about these guys then? Sejun pointed at the black lizard men. Ahem. Jiras carefully examined the black lizard men. At that moment, ahem, through a torn section on the back of one of their armors, a portion of a tattoo was visible. It looks familiar. To confirm, Jiras removed the black lizardman's armor, revealing a tattoo, a massive shield with a square top and pointed bottom, with two swords crossing in an X shape at the center. This is, Jiras exclaimed in shock after identifying the tattoo. It was the symbol of the Black Shield Special Forces, which he had been busily drawing in his report just moments ago. As expected of the Sejun family, Jiras rejoiced internally. It seemed like he might not have to write the report after all. Jiras, do you recognize the tattoo? Sejun asked expectantly. Just a moment. These guys are members of Black Shield. Ah, here it is. Each of them has a bounty of 10 million tower coins, making the total bounty 100 million tower coins. Hasha, really? Hut, this is great, meow. Sejun and Theo grinned at Jiras' reply. For reference, the bounty for Ulkin, the captain of Black Shield, is 350 billion tower coins, and the bounty for the vice-captain, Modius, is 150 billion tower coins. Jiras dangled an even bigger bait in front of the two, but, shall we go get some sleep now? Hut sounds good, meow. I'm sleepy, meow. Kyung. Kaying. The Sejun family didn't react. They had only captured these wanted criminals because they had picked a fight with them first, but actively seeking them out was a different matter. And if you retrieve the seal ring stolen by Ulkin from the Lizardman Kingdom, they've offered an additional 1.5 trillion tower coins as a reward. Where is Ulkin? Where is he, meow? Of course, if the amount was significant, the story changed. Catching the captain and vice-captain, along with recovering the seal ring, would bring the total reward to 2 trillion tower coins. It was an amount worth the effort. He's on the 65th floor of the tower. Is that so? But we don't have a land deed for that floor. Hut, Great Hybrid Chairman Park, leave it to me, Vice Chairman Theo, meow. All right, we'll figure it out. Jiras, just leave it to us. Yes, I'll trust the Sejun family. In the meantime, we'll also try to get the land deed. At Sejun's words, Jiras shouted happily. Well then, we'll get going. Have a good night. With that, Sejun and his companions left Jiras' office. They headed to the Golden Ship to sleep. On their way to the hotel, thud, Urine bumped into a drunken, giant hippopotamus. Eck! The hippo fell down. Eek, you pig bastard! Believing in his own strength, the hippo had collided with full force, only to find Urine's strength far superior, making him fall flat on his back in a comical fashion. Do you know who I am? I'm Kaba, the richest man on the 71st floor of the tower. Apologize to me immediately. Kaba showed off his wealth and raged at Urine despite being the one who picked a fight and lost. But, shut up, I'm Urine, the legendary merchant. In the face of Urine's wealth, Kaba's bragging seemed insignificant. Moreover, Urine was no longer the pushover he used to be. Thud. He. Urine delivered a sidekick to Kaba's face, knocking him unconscious. Hut, we've got another employee, meow. Press. Theo stamped Kaba's unconscious body with the employee contract seal and rummaged through his belongings. Since Kaba hadn't been subdued by Sejun himself, he didn't qualify as an Alliance employee. As Theo searched Kaba's belongings, Hut, this guy's loaded, meow. Theo gleefully exclaimed upon discovering 3 trillion tower coins in Kaba's void storage pouch. The money Kaba had was an astonishingly large sum, far beyond what someone of his stature as a wealthy man on the 71st floor of the tower should possess. In reality, it was military funding meant to be delivered to the Black Shield members that Sejun had handed over to Jiras earlier. At that moment, meow, Theo pulled out 2 land deeds from Kaba's possessions. They were none other than the land deeds for the 63rd and 65th floors of the tower, exactly what Sejun needed. As expected, the synergy between Theo, the king of luck, and Urin, the king of misfortune, was truly incredible. Pew hut, great hybrid Chairman Park I, Vice Chairman Theo have done it, meow. Holding the money and the land deeds, Theo leapt onto Sejun's lap. Oh, Vice Chairman Theo, great work. When Sejun praised Theo, after confirming the money and land deeds. Pew hut, of course I, Vice Chairman Theo, always do well, meow. Didn't I tell you to just leave it to me, meow? Or did I not? Chairman Park, give me some churu. I want a late-night snack today, meow. Theo boasted loudly, puffing himself up. He was in such a good mood that he even asked for a late-night snack, which he usually didn't eat. All right. Since he did something praiseworthy today, Sejun indulged Theo's bragging and patted his head. And then, Kyuehe Kyung. Hehe, Kyungi wants a late-night snack too. Kilahit Kaying. Hee butler, me too, late-night snack. Piyahiti Piyo. Pew hut, if Vice Chairman Theo eats a snack as his right front paw, I can't just sit still. Yuhehe, are we having a late-night snacks? Even the rest of the group became excited at the mention of late-night snacks. First, let's take this guy back to Jira's. Dragging Kaba behind them, Sejun and the group made their way back to Jira's office. So this is Kaba, the nouveau rich of the 71st floor. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't have a bounty. He settled all his disputes with money. There was no bounty. Is that so? What a shame. What a shame, meow. Despite having taken 3 trillion tower coins from Kaba, both Sejun and Theo looked regretful. Dragging Kaba back out, Sejun and the group left him lying by the main gate of the Wandering Merchants Association headquarters. This is for your fare, meow. Theo kindly placed 1 tower coin tightly in Kaba's hand, making sure it wouldn't slip out. Theo was unusually generous today. After leaving Kaba behind, Sejun and the group entered the golden ship and were guided to the best room available. All right, let's wash up. Eager to soak in hot water for the first time in a while, Sejun led the group into a large bathhouse filled with rising steam. Come on over here. He washed each of his companions one by one as they played in the water. A short while later. Hugh, that feels refreshing. Sejun, the last to finish washing up, emerged from the bath. Gororong. Kurorong. Kirorong. Theo, Kyungi, Blackie, Piat, Urin, and the rest of the family were all bundled up together, fast asleep. It had taken so long to wash everyone that they had fallen asleep while waiting for Sejun to finish. I guess I'll have to eat the late-night snack by myself. How about something simple like ramen? Clink. Sejun carefully boiled some water and opened his void storage as quietly as possible. Pip, Sejun Nim, good evening. Peacebees woke up and greeted Sejun. My Peacebees is awake. Are you hungry? Wait a moment. Sejun quickly took out some fruit and began preparing it. Pip, thank you for the meal. Slurp. While Peacebees sipped the juice of the pear. What kind of ramen should I have? Sejun briefly contemplated which ramen to eat for his late-night snack before choosing black bean noodle ramen and opening its packet. Rustle. Although he tried to be as quiet as possible, the sound of the ramen packet was unavoidable. In an instant, the sound of snoring from the bed stopped. Guys want to eat together. Sejun turned his head and asked his companions, who were staring at him with eyes full of betrayal as if saying, why are you eating alone? Da. The well-rested group hurriedly rushed to Sejun, joining him for the late-night snack. Then, Kyueka. Urin, who was eating ramen, bit his tongue and screamed. The night deepened, but it seemed Urin's streak of misfortune wasn't over yet. And then, over there. Yes, Vice Captain. In the distance, figures wearing black hoods were seen approaching the golden ship. Chapter 585. Big Brother needs to hurry and save him. Team 5 still hasn't arrived yet. No, sir, and Kaba is nowhere to be seen either. Modius, the vice captain of the Black Shield Special Force, received a report from his adjutant that Team 5 had not yet returned. Could it be that Kaba betrayed us? Modius immediately suspected Kaba. But then, we've located Kaba. The subordinates who found Kaba reported that he was pitifully sleeping in front of the Wandering Merchant Association headquarters. Although he reeked of alcohol, Kaba's nickname was Drunken Whale. He was notorious for never passing out, even after drinking all the liquor in a bar. Moreover, the distinct marks of a pair of pig hoofprints and a single cat paw stamp on his face clearly indicated that Kaba had not betrayed them. No, actually, since he became an employee of Sejun Company, it was technically a betrayal. Find out who attacked Team 5 in Kaba. Yes, sir. As the Black Shield members searched the area. Vice Captain, we found a witness who saw Kaba pick a fight with a pink pig and get beaten up. The adjutant reported the information gathered by the subordinates. A pink pig, could it be the legendary merchant, Urine? Yes, sir. The witness claims that Urine introduced himself as such, but there's something suspicious. What is it? Urine was also present when Team 5 was attacked. What? Does that mean our plan leaked to the Lizard Kingdom? The chances are high, sir. Where is he? I'll personally interrogate him and find out what he knows. I'll lead the way. Guided by his subordinates, Modius headed to the Golden Ship where Sejun was staying. That damned pig dared to mess with the Black Shield Special Force. I'll show him why we're called the Demons of the Swamp. Modius smiled grimly, imagining how he would torture Urine for interfering in their affairs. When Modius arrived at the Golden Ship, he's on the top floor. The adjutant pointed out Urine's location. We'll infiltrate by scaling the walls. Yes, sir. At Modius' command, 100 Black Shield members began climbing the building walls. Silent and swift, they ascended towards the top floor. Just as they were about to reach the top floor where Sejun was staying. Pip, who are you? Peacebees, who was patrolling the area as usual, suddenly appeared beside Modius and asked, "What the hell, when did it show up?" Modius was startled by Peacebees' sudden appearance. It's strong. Seeing Peacebees right in front of him, yet unable to sense its presence, Modius felt cold sweat running down his back. At that moment, Shuka, one of Modius' subordinates, threw a dagger at Peacebees, mistaking it for just a bat. However, ting! The dagger bounced off Peacebees' golden dragon skin without leaving a scratch. Clang! The dagger fell to the ground, the metallic sound echoing through the quiet night. Pip, be quiet. This is where my Sejun Nim is sleeping. Thwack! Enraged, Peacebees knocked out the Black Shield member who had thrown the dagger and swiftly hoisted him onto the roof. At that moment, creak! Peacebees, is someone outside? Hearing Peacebees' voice, Sejun opened the window and looked outside. This is our chance. Attack him! Modius shouted, pointing at Sejun. It was an instinctive decision. Against Peacebees, neither victory nor escape was possible. If so, their only chance was to target Sejun, who seemed much weaker. An instinctive judgment told him so. Shug. At Modius' command, hundreds of daggers flew swiftly towards Sejun. It's chilling. Daggers are flying towards my chest, but don't worry, my hands are. As Sejun recalled a line from a movie and prepared to block the daggers in style. Meow, 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 meow. Kyung. Thanks to Theo and Kyungi's perfect iron wall defense, not a single dagger managed to reach Sejun. Guys, can't you let me have a bit of screen time too? As Sejun sulked, feeling left out. Kaying. How dare they target my butler? Let's go, everyone. An enraged Blackie, trusting in the abilities of its flying subordinates, jumped out the window. But then, hey, where are you going? Kaying. Sejun grabbed Blackie midair and returned him to sling bag. In the meantime, the situation was resolved in an instant. Pew Hut, become an employee of the great hybrid Chairman Park, meow. Press. Theo stamped the unconscious Black Shield members with his seal, while Kyungi and Peacepeace searched the members' bodies and gathered their money. The ordinary members only carried around 100 tower coins each, but Kyung, big brother, this guy has a lot of money. Pip Pip, big brother, this guy also has a lot of money. From the bodies of Vice Captain Modius and his adjutant, they uncovered 10 trillion tower coins and 7 trillion tower coins, respectively. Thanks to this, Theo managed to earn nearly 21 trillion tower coins in a single day. The misfortune of urine was the snowball that Theo had started rolling. Roll. And it continued to grow in size, showing no sign of stopping. Pew hut, this is super profitable, meow. Rejoicing over the massive side income that far exceeded Modius' bounty, Theo excitedly exclaimed, "Great hybrid Chairman Park, I've earned a lot of money, meow." He ran to Sejun with the money in hand to boast. And then, Pew hut, Chairman Park, take this, meow. He handed the money to Sejun. Despite his love for money, Theo didn't actually desire to own it. No, his obsession with monopolizing Sejun's lap left him no room to develop any other desires. All right, you did well. Pew hut, I'm always great at what I do, meow. On top of that, Theo enjoyed the sense of happiness that surged every time he showed off to Sejun. After cheerfully celebrating on Sejun's lap, Theo eventually yawned widely. "Miuwa, Chairman Park, I'm sleepy." Gorarung. Theo stretched out with a big yawn, then clung to Sejun's lap and fell asleep. "Kyungi, let's go to sleep. Peacepeace coming too, it's cold outside." "Kyung." "Pip Pip, yes." After Sejun called Kyungi and Peacepeace inside. Clank. He closed the window and went asleep, leaving the unconscious Black Shield members on the ground. It was a cold and miserable night for the Black Shield members. The next morning. This is truly delicious. Olivo, who had gotten up early, finished eating his fill of the hotel breakfast and was about to leave through the hotel door when... What? He discovered the black lizardmen sprawled out on the ground. At that moment, "Olivo-nim, are you leaving now?" Sejun, who had come down for breakfast, called out to Olivo. "Yes, thank you so much for arranging such a nice room. I was able to rest very comfortably. I'm glad to hear you were satisfied. Also, there's no need for you to come all this way again. I'll visit you in Simon Village, so just prepare the seeds." Yes. Since Sejun now possessed the land deed for the 63rd floor of the tower, he decided to personally visit Olivo's village. If possible, he planned to uproot a few cinnamon trees and plant them on the 99th floor of the tower. Well then, see you later. With that, Olivo left, and Sejun and his party also enjoyed their breakfast. When breakfast was over, "Pew hut, wake up, meow." Slap slap. Theo woke up the unconscious Modius with a few light slaps. If they were just planning to take him to Jira's for the bounty, they could have simply stored him in the void storage like the other Black Shield members, but before that, they intended to get the exact location of Black Shield's captain, Ulkin. While Jira's had informed them that Ulkin was on the 65th floor of the tower, he hadn't provided exact details. As Modius regained consciousness. "Where is Ulkin?" Sejun asked. "HMPH. I am an elite among elites, trained in mental fortitude to withstand any form of torture. Do you think I'd reveal the captain's location?" Modius sneered defiantly. "Yeah, I think you will." "What?" "Blackie, you're up." Thud. Sejun placed Blackie on the ground. "Kilahit kaying. Hee, butler, leave it to me. You were the one who bothered my butler yesterday, weren't you?" Da. Thunk. Blackie charged at Modius and headbutted him, causing both Blackie family and Modius to faint simultaneously. Inside Modius' mental world. Where is this? Modius looked around his mental world, which he was seeing for the first time. At that moment, Grrrr. Thump. Blackie appeared, growling fiercely, followed by its subordinates. Modius was paralyzed with fear. No amount of mental fortitude training could prepare him to face the former apostles of destruction. Just the presence emanating from Blackie family felt like it could annihilate his soul. "Bow your head." "Yes, sir." At Blackie's single command, Modius flinched in shock and quickly bowed his head to the ground. He couldn't even fathom the thought of refusing Blackie's words. Moments later, "Wah, I'll tell you everything. Ulkin is at the Redin fortress on the 65th floor of the tower." Modius cried out, wailing as he revealed Ulkin's exact location. "And the rebellion is planned for 1 week from now." He spilled everything, even information no one had asked for. Having obtained all the intel he needed from Modius, Sejun spoke. "Now, let's head to Jira's and claim the bounty." Early that morning, Sejun gave Jira's this big gift and proceeded to head to the 65th floor of the tower. Seed Shop Headquarters. Grading result is 72 points. You have surpassed the passing score of 70 points. Congratulations. You have become an executive of the Seed Shop Headquarters. I did it, I passed. I am now one of the 4 top executives of the Seed Shop. Dark, the god of darkness, who had just passed the Seed Shop executive exam, cheered in delight. With Trustin Park around, the Seed Shop will undoubtedly flourish. When the time comes, I'll be in the heart of power. As soon as Dark entered the Seed Shop headquarters, he had begun preparing for the executive exam and had proudly risen to become one of its top 4 executives. Kriug. When Dark opened the door to his room and stepped out. "Don't ask, don't question, just trust in Park. Don't ask, don't question, just trust in Park. Don't ask, don't question, just trust in Park." The chants of non-combat gods echoed outside. It was because Sejun had erected a monument honoring the achievements of the gods after hearing their names from Toryong yesterday morning. "Trust in Park, we shall never forget your grace." Particularly, Order, the god of order, was moved to tears, sobbing uncontrollably. And then, wasn't it just trust in Park? But now it's don't ask, don't question, just trust in Park. As expected, realizing that Sejun's reputation within the Seed Shop headquarters had grown even further during this time, Dark smiled contentedly. The value of Sejun coins continued to soar, setting new record highs day by day. "You have arrived at the 65th floor of the Black Tower. What kind of farm is this?" Sejun leisurely observed the surroundings. With his 5-second invincibility and the strength he had developed, he no longer needed to fear anything below the 70th floor of the tower. At that moment, clang! "Chairman Park, I missed you, meow." Kyung, Kaying, Theo, Kyungi, and Blackie family rushed out of the void storage. "Pio, I'll scout the area." "Yuehe, aren't we having any snacks?" Piat and Urin followed after them. Shortly after, "Hut, I'll stamp them, meow." When Theo stamped the long-tailed green monkeys that Sejun had subdued. The 9 dragons employee contract seal has been stamped. From now on, Aileen Pratani, the great black dragon administrator of the Black Tower, will oversee and protect the allied employee. A message appeared in front of Theo. "You have subdued the long-tailed green monkeys who illegally occupied the avocado farm. Quest completed." At the same time, a quest completion message appeared before Sejun, declaring him the rightful owner of the avocado farm. Once the situation was resolved. "Oh, this smells so good, guys, give it a try." Sejun shared some avocados with his companions. "Kyung, this is delicious." "Yuehe, it's soft." Aside from Kyungi and Urin, the others didn't seem to find it particularly tasty, while Urin happily munched on the avocado. Rumble! The ground began to shake, as if trying to interrupt Urin's meal. And then, "I smell the scent of intense misfortune." A voice echoed from beneath the ground. Boom! At the same time, the earth surged upward, and a giant hand reached out, snatching Urin before vanishing. "What?" Sejun was taken aback, but... Hut. Theo grinned with a face full of anticipation. He was already excited about what kind of good fortune would appear if they followed Urine. But, Kaying, Big Brother needs to hurry and save him. Blackie looked at Theo with concern, because Blackie knew exactly who had kidnapped Urine. Agony the Sand Wraith, devourer of misfortune. An evil spirit that grows stronger by devouring unfortunate fates. It was one of the 5 beings, which even Blackie had been unable to digest. Chapter 586, Blackie, Are You Really Fenrir, the Apostle of Destruction? As his world was being devoured by Fenrir, the god-hunting noble wolf and first seed of the Apostle of Destruction. Where is this place? Agony the Sand Wraith, devourer of misfortune, naturally ended up living inside Fenrir's stomach. Moha, Fenrir Nim's stomach has so much to eat. Agony actually liked being eaten by Fenrir, because there was so much misfortune. Inside Fenrir, he happily filled his belly by devouring Fenrir's misfortune, and the misfortunes Fenrir had swallowed. Who are you? Fenrir belatedly noticed Agony's presence. As Agony devoured misfortunes, his power had grown so strong that Fenrir could finally sense him. Die. The moment Fenrir discovered Agony, he attempted to kill him. Fenrir Nim, let's talk this out. But Agony, who stubbornly survived inside Fenrir by consuming his misfortunes, became an immortal being that even Fenrir could not kill. Eventually, this time an extremely unlucky guy ended up here. Eat him first, otherwise he'll become a headache later. Got it. Agony eventually entered a symbiotic relationship with Fenrir and led a very happy life. However, Fenrir Nim, where's this place? I'm so hungry. When Fenrir's core shattered, Agony had no choice but to move and search for food. Thus began Agony's long journey, wandering in search of misfortunes to fill his belly. Then one day, such powerful misfortune. Agony got excited after smelling the scent of delicious misfortune. And then, lick, lick, lick. This. By the time he regained his senses, he was enthusiastically licking urine, devouring his misfortune. It seemed that hunger had driven him mad. Is it okay to eat this? Agony briefly worried about eating someone's misfortune without permission, but then, it should be fine. Usually people were grateful when he devoured their misfortune. Dismissing his concerns, Agony resumed. Lick, lick, lick. He began feasting on Urine's misfortune again. Misfortune is rapidly decreasing. The star that blesses misfortune bestows a blessing, increasing all stats by 10,000. Misfortune is rapidly decreasing. The star that blesses misfortune bestows a blessing, increasing all stats by 9,000. Misfortune is. Meanwhile, messages about the diminishing misfortune appeared in front of Urine, but he was unconscious and unaware. Shortly after, burp. I'm full, I'll save the rest for later. Agony, holding Urine in both hands like a baby that had fallen asleep after a meal, murmured contentedly. Murorong. And then he fell asleep. Sniff, sniff. Kyung. Urine Hyung's scent is coming from here. Following Urine's scent, Kyungi pointed at a massive rocky mountain. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, hurry up, meow. Theo, hanging onto Sejun's knee, urged him in an excited voice. All right, let's find Urine quickly. When Sejun rushed toward the rocky mountain. Pio. Sejun Nim, there's a cave here. Piat, who had scouted the area in advance, called out to Sejun. Really, let's go inside. Snap. Sejun snapped his fingers to create light, leading the group into the cave. The cave wasn't deep, and they soon reached its end. It's Urine. Sejun discovered Urine being held by a giant hand. It was a strange creature with only a massive mouth and 2 hands, with no other body parts. Agony, the Sand Wraith, devourer of misfortune. If the name hadn't been written above, he would have thought it was part of a dead corpse. At that moment, Huff, who are you? Rumble. Agony woke up, wiping the drool from his mouth. And then, huh, wave, wave. He enthusiastically waved his hands towards Sejun and the group. Fenrir Nim. Earlier, driven mad by hunger, he hadn't noticed Blackie's energy. Now that he was full, he sensed Blackie's presence in the sling bag Sejun carried. Why is it waving? I have no idea, meow. Kyung. Does it want to be friends with Kyungi? Sejun, Theo, and Kyungi tilted their heads in confusion. However, wave, wave. Hey, read the room, don't act like you know me. Blackie worried about Sejun discovering his true identity, frantically shaking his head left and right in a panic. Dedada. Still feeling uneasy, Blackie quickly ran toward Agony and thunk. Head-butted him. Keikirorong. Umrorong. Keikurorong. Murorong. The Blackie family and Agony fell asleep, and whoosh! A sandstorm rose, swallowing Sejun and his companions. Inside Agony's mental world. Grrr. Thud, thud. As a dark blue wolf revealed itself. Oh, Fenrir Nim, it's been a while. I missed you. Lick, lick, lick. Agony flew toward Fenrir and began licking his face like an overly excited pet dog. Grrr. Agony, you almost got me caught by my butler because of you, and call me the great Blackie Nim. Ignoring Agony, Blackie growled in anger. Huh, Fenrir Nim, you don't taste good anymore. Agony was shocked. Blackie no longer carried the rich flavor of deep misfortune. Because of this, Agony didn't even fully hear what Blackie was saying. What about the others? Slurp. In haste, Agony licked the bodies of Blackie's subordinates who followed behind him, such as Iamdal and Gomi, but all of them had only a faint taste of misfortune. Meanwhile, Grrr. Blackie and his subordinates surrounded Agony, obviously intending to annihilate him. While Agony might be a beneficial spirit to them, his true nature was that of a malevolent spirit. For this reason, Blackie didn't even consider letting Agony stay with Sejun to remove misfortune for him. A world without misfortune. Blackie and his subordinates had seen how such places always ended. Destruction. A world without misfortune might seem like it would lead to happiness, but happiness without misfortune was like a runaway horse. It sprinted endlessly toward more happiness, only to collapse alone and meet its end. This principle applied to individuals as well. For a person, that destruction came even faster, often shortening their lives to the point where they couldn't live out their given time. Thus, Blackie decided to eliminate Agony, who could potentially threaten Sejun. Though it was unfortunate about Urin's misfortune, it would actually help Theo. And a being like Agony, who posed a risk of revealing Blackie's secret, had no reason to be kept alive. Huh, Fenrir Nim, you're not planning to kill me, are you? Why? We got along so well. Fenrir Nim, the god-hunting noble wolf and first seed of the Apostle of Destruction, please spare me. Realizing the situation far too late, Agony shouted in a terrified voice. Grrr, call me the great Blackie Nim. Use the name my butler gave me. Bang! Eck! An enraged Blackie struck Agony with his paw. At that moment, Blackie, are you really Fenrir, the Apostle of Destruction? A familiar voice called out from behind Blackie. A little earlier. He. Sejun and his companions were swept up in the sandstorm Agony created. Where is this? Sejun woke up alone in a strange place. Theo and Kyungi had resisted being drawn into the mental world by the sandstorm, and Piat had quickly escaped. Is this a mental world? Having experienced this many times before, Sejun instinctively recognized the place as a mental world. But isn't anyone else here? As he looked around, Sejun's eyes caught sight of Blackie's massive, dependable figure standing far away. It's my Blackie. Feeling uneasy about being alone, Sejun hurried toward Blackie, but then, my Blackie is Fenrir, the god-hunting noble wolf and first seed of the Apostle of Destruction. Hearing the conversation between Blackie and Agony, Sejun was stunned. Blackie, who got overly excited every time he saw a fragment of Fenrir's core. Blackie, who effortlessly exorcised the apostles of destruction. Memories flashed rapidly through Sejun's mind. I thought he just liked balls and was good at exorcisms, because he was an exorcism wolf. Why didn't I ever suspect him of being an apostle of destruction? Sejun berated himself. However, the disparity between the super sunfish Blackie and Fenrir, the god-hunting noble wolf and first seed of the apostle of destruction, was so vast that even the great dragons couldn't suspect it. Sejun couldn't believe what he heard. Blackie, are you really Fenrir, the apostle of destruction? He directly asked Blackie. Well. Blackie, who had anticipated this day would come someday, was at a loss for words when Sejun confronted him and couldn't say anything. So it's true. From Blackie's reaction, Sejun was convinced that Blackie was indeed Fenrir, the first seed of the apostles of destruction. At the same time, he felt a sense of distance from the Blackie family. The feeling was quite different between the apostles of destruction led by super sunfish exorcism wolf Blackie and the apostles of destruction led by Fenrir, the first-ranked apostle of destruction. As an awkward silence filled the air between Sejun and the Blackie family. Pew Hut, great hybrid chairman Park, don't worry anymore because Vice Chairman Theo is here now, meow. Super giant Chairman Park, give that guy a good beating, meow. Bang. Eck. Theo, realizing belatedly that Sejun had entered Agony's mental world, appeared with the supergiant Chairman Park and subdued Agony. Pew Hut, Agony stamp this, meow. Yes, I'll stamp it, just please spare me. Agony became a permanent employee of Sejun Company after being stamped by Theo. And then, meow, Agony spit urine's misfortune back out, meow. I'm sorry, it's already been digested. Give urine's misfortune back, meow. Back in the real world, Theo, now extremely angry, grabbed the now baseball-sized Agony by the scruff and shook him furiously. Hey, there's much less misfortune now. Of course, urine was very happy. P.O.P.O. Finally, life will be a bit more comfortable, or maybe not. Piot, who was initially thrilled about urine's reduced misfortune, pretended not to care after noticing Theo's reaction. While Theo, Agony, urine and Piot were causing a commotion. Sejun stood silently, gazing up at the sky with a hardened expression. And then, Kaying, guys, let's pack. Blackie quietly began packing up his belongings along with his subordinates, preparing to leave. He had wanted to enjoy more happiness by staying by Sejun's side, but it seemed like too much to ask for considering all the sins they had committed. The butler will probably feel burdened by beings like us. As the Blackie family each slung their small bundles over their shoulders and prepared to leave, the tower's administrator says that, to be honest, there have been far too many worlds destroyed by the apostles of destruction, and it's impossible for them to be forgiven as if they were innocent. I figured as much. Sejun was discussing with Aileen about ways to save Blackie and the Blackie family. The tower's administrator adds that Blackie made great contributions by persuading the other apostles of destruction, and the others have been helping as well, so there's room for leniency. The tower's administrator also says she will think of ways to reduce the Blackie family's sins, so stay strong. All right, thanks. After finishing his conversation with Aileen, Sejun turned around. Hey, Blackie, where do you think you're running off to? I've grown way too attached. Kaying. Sejun caught the Blackie family, who were trying to sneak away, and stuffed them into his sling bag. If you've committed sins, you have to pay for them. From now on, you're doing 3 good deeds every day, got it? In the past, he may have been Fenrir, the first seed of the apostles of destruction, but now he's my Blackie. I'll do my best too. Sejun decided he would personally take responsibility for the Blackie family and make them atone for their sins. Even if they couldn't be fully forgiven, their sins would become a bit lighter in the future. Kaying. Butler, you're not going to abandon us. Of course not, we're family. From now on, don't hide anything from me, okay? Kang. Sniff, sniff, got it. Great Blackie won't deceive the butler, and I'll work hard to do good deeds from now on. I'll do 5 good deeds every day. K. Kurug. Sharalang. The Blackie family cried tears of joy, grateful that Sejun didn't let them go, but chose to keep them by his side. Why are you all crying? As Sejun wiped the tears streaming down the faces of the Blackie family. Kaying. Butler is crying too. Blackie licked away the tears rolling down Sejun's cheeks. And then, Chairman Park, why are you crying, meow? Kyung. Who bullied Dad? Theo and Kyungi quickly rushed to Sejun, clinging to his face to wipe away his tears. You guys, stop putting saliva all over me. On the 561st day since entering the tower, the bond of the Sejun family was as strong as ever. Happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Confetti ball, confetti ball, confetti ball. Chapter 587, Can't Resist a Sucker. Someone else's misfortune is my happiness. And someone else's misfortune is my luck. Caught between eating and being eaten, in the balance of happiness and misfortune. What does this mean? Puhut stamp it meow. The lucky being drawn to Urin's misfortune met Theo, and experienced a roller coaster-like plunge into great misfortune. Oh, looks delicious. For Agony, this meant there was now plenty to eat. Stamp. Especially at the moment when Theo stamped him, it became twice as delicious. Die. Oh, let me get one too. Sejun was about to attack the black lizardman who had attacked him, but Kyung. Bang. Kyungi took care of it first. Kyungi, thank you. Kyung. Hehe, Dad, Kyungi will protect you. Currently, Sejun and his companions were attacking the Redin fortress where the leader of Black Shield, Ulkin, resided. When Sejun and his companions subdued the soldiers guarding Redin fortress and entered the interior. Who dares recklessly invade this place? A massive black lizardman appeared. It was Ulkin, the leader of Black Shield. Puhut, if you ask who I am, it's only polite to answer. I am Great Hybrid Chairman Park's right-hand man. Theo, excited, began to introduce himself in response to Ulkin's question. Silence. Ulkin tried to cut him off by attacking Theo, but meow, listen till the end, meow. I'm the deadly hybrid golden cat legendary merchant Park Theo, meow. Puhut, introduction complete, meow. Dodging the attack, Theo finished his introduction to the end. And then, thwack, Theo struck the back of Ulkin's head, knocking him out. Thus, the rebellion of the Lizard Kingdom ended before it even began. Puhut. Stamp. Theo laughed as he stamped Ulkin's nape and began searching his body. However, meow, there wasn't a single coin on Ulkin. If it's not here, it must be somewhere else, meow. Meow. Stretching out his paw in concentration. Puhut, Chairman Park, I sense something over there, meow. Really? Theo led Sejun to the source of the sensation. Following Theo's guidance, Sejun arrived at a massive room. It was Ulkin's room, with a desk for work, bookshelves, and several chests filled with money piled in the corner. Oh, let's hurry and pack it up. Puhut got it, meow. Kyung. Kaying. The group moved the money from the chests into the void storage. A little while later. Meow, it's less money than expected, meow. After counting the total from the chests, Theo had a disappointed expression. The total amount from the money chests was 5 trillion tower coins. Since they had taken 17 trillion tower coins from the vice-captain, they expected the captain to have more, but the amount was far below expectations. At that moment, Kilahit Kaying. Hee Butler, we cleaned up the trash and put it in the trash can. Blackie proudly reported the good deed they had done to Sejun. Why they were cleaning someone else's room was unclear, but good job, Just 2 more good deeds left to go. Sejun praised them for now. And Kivahit. Sejun's praise made the Blackie family dance with joy. After gathering all the money, Kivahit Kaying. He butler, give this one a name too. Morlung. Blackie pointed at Agony, who was hanging limply over Urin's head while devouring misfortune. Since it had become part of Sejun's family, it needed a new name. A name. Thump Thump. The Blackie family looked at Sejun with expectant eyes, eagerly awaiting what name he would come up with. Bulkyun Bulkyun. Am I finally no longer the youngest? Especially Kabolto, who gazed at Sejun with anticipation, but that was wishful thinking. The Blackie family wouldn't grow any larger beyond Kabolto. It only had 2 hands and a mouth, 8 misfortune to survive, and was an evil sand spirit. As Sejun observed the characteristics of Agony, who was sleeping, he pondered on a name. Sejun's naming shop opened once again. Since it's a sand spirit that devours misfortune, Bolryong, TL. Kopulyangenus, Bolryong equals Kopuenus from Kopuhengenus, meaning misfortune plus Kodyangenus, meaning spirit. Since it only has a mouth and 2 hands, Ipsendu, TL. Ko ipsonduenus, ipsendu equals ko ipenus, means mouth plus kosonhenus, means hand plus koduenus, means 2. As Sejun continued to deliberate, I wonder if changing evil spirit to fairy when naming would have any effect. A curious thought arose. Changing its defining characteristic. This was something he had never tried before. Then, since it's a sand fairy that devours misfortune, Poyo, TL. Ko Poyo Enus, Poyo equals Ko Poinus from Ko Posi, Enus meaning devour plus Hangul Ko Yoinus from Ko Yodung Enus meaning fairy. I'll go with Poyo. As Sejun decided on the name. Kaying. It seems like Butler isn't in good condition today. It could be because of us. Kurug. That's right, the earlier shock must have been too much. The disappointed Blackie family, as if understanding Sejun, began searching for another good deed to do. And then the effect of talent, Namer has been activated. The name Poyo has been imbued with a special effect. Bloodline, sand fairy that devours misfortune, has been granted. With the special effect of the name Poyo, Agony, the sand wraith, devourer of misfortune, was reborn as Poyo, the sand fairy that devours misfortune. The bloodline option couldn't be asked about since Poyo was sleeping, but it didn't seem to be significantly different from his existing abilities. When Sejun's naming was completed, Sejun Nim, we apologize for being so late. Jira's arrived with 1,000 mercenaries. No, you've arrived just on time. Here the seal. Sejun handed Jira's the Lizard Kingdom seal ring. Before heading to Redin Fortress, Sejun had sent the messenger bird Piat to contact Jira's. In response, Jira's had hurried over with the mercenaries permanently employed by the Wandering Merchant Guild. Then I'll leave the cleanup here to you. Yes, we'll calculate and send the bounty as soon as the area is cleared. Okay, take care then. Sejun left the cleanup to Jira's and moved to the waypoint. He planned to activate the waypoint and travel to the 63rd floor of the tower. On the way to the waypoint, Hey Pig, stop right there. 30 black lizardmen lying in ambush blocked Sejun's path. Once again, Urin was the first pick of the bandits. The black lizardmen, who had received military funds from an external source and were quietly returning to Redin Fortress, had originally planned to avoid trouble. But, oh, it's Urin, the sucker legendary merchant. They couldn't resist a sucker. Like moths drawn to a flame, they were pulled in by Urin's misfortune. Urin, the misfortune millionaire with an endless spring of misfortune. His misfortune had already started recovering. Pew Hut, Chairman Park, these guys have a lot of money, meow. Thanks to that, the 30 trillion tower coins in military funds passed from the black lizardmen's hands into Theo's front paw and then into Sejun's hands. Pew Hut, now only 44 trillion tower coins remain, meow. Having now collected more than half of the 100 trillion tower coins needed to complete the job quest, Theo was thrilled. Puhuhut, Urine, good job, meow. Yuhuha, thank you, but what did I do well? Puhuhut, nothing, meow, you just did well, meow. Theo praised Urine, who had done absolutely nothing. A little while later, after sending the Black Lizardmen back to Redin Fortress via Torion, Sejun and his group arrived at the waypoint on the 65th floor of the tower. Thud. Welcome. Perhaps having already heard the news, the giant lizardman, the boss of the 65th floor, immediately bowed and greeted Sejun and his group. Meow. Theo, disappointed by the reaction of the boss monster, lowered his paw. And then, click, the waypoint of the Black Tower's 65th floor has been registered. As soon as Sejun registered the waypoint, Puhuhut, Chairman Park, see you in a bit, meow. Clank. The companions went into the void storage on their own, and whoosh. Sejun used the 63rd floor land deed and disappeared. Outskirts of destruction. Fire. Kulu. Thousands of great dragons enthusiastically unleashed their breath attacks toward the energy of destruction spread across the outskirts of destruction, removing the destructive energy. The reason was simple. Clink. Collect. It was for tower coins. With Jormungandr, who used to guard the outskirts of destruction, gone these days, the great dragons could now freely earn tower coins, opening the era of great shopping for the dragons at Dragon Market. Thanks to this, the previously idle lifestyle of the great dragons had drastically changed, and they were now living a very disciplined life. Early in the morning, they commuted to the outskirts of destruction to earn tower coins. Around lunchtime, they visited Aileen at the Black Tower to purchase Sejun's alcohol and crops, then returned home. All right, shall we call it a day here? Sure. Let's head to Dragon Market now. Once the great dragons earned the amount of tower coins they needed, they quickly flew to the Black Tower. And thud, thud. The line is long today too. They stood in line behind other great dragons who had already arrived and were waiting for their turn. Aileen, can I get 3 bottles of watermelon wine and 106 clove garlic of mental strength? Yes, just a moment. Ace, 3 bottles of watermelon wine and 100 mental garlics. Got it, Nuna. There were so many customers that Aileen couldn't handle it alone, so Ace also worked part-time at Dragon Market to help her out. His payment was 1 hour of playtime with Sejun for every hour he helped, so Ace worked diligently without any complaints. Sylvia, could I get 5 bottles of lemon wine and 100 wind cabbage? Additionally, other hatchlings occasionally visited Dragon Market to help Aileen as well. Once they finished helping, they could play with Aileen. Yes, but what about Sylvia's snack? Sylvia wants some cherry tomato juice. All right, I'll add 1 glass of that too. Haha, thank you. And they could extort plenty of snacks from the adult dragons as well. As the great dragons joined in removing the energy of destruction spread around Black Moon. Along with the 10th tower, level 11 world earthworm, they were gradually sealing the Black Moon without even realizing it themselves. You have arrived on the 63rd floor of the Black Tower. Where is this? Sejun looked around and saw tall trees towering above him. What kind of trees are these? As Sejun's gaze followed the trees upward. Thud, you have been attacked. You are in an invincible state. You have taken no damage. Sejun groaned as he was struck by something that fell from the sky. What the heck? Sejun checked what had hit his head and fallen to the ground. Oh, this is a coconut. As Sejun realized what had struck him. Puhuhut, great, meow. Chairman Park, why is your face getting ugly again, meow? Theo, who had excitedly opened the void storage and come out, noticed Sejun clutching his head with a grimace and immediately began emergency first aid on his face. Squish, squish, squish. Meanwhile, coconuts continued to fall. Kyung. Kyungi used telekinesis to catch the falling coconuts. Sejun grabbed one coconut and, "Guys, you make a hole like this and drink it." Pop. Gulp gulp. Sejun demonstrated by poking a hole in the coconut with his finger, putting his mouth to the hole, and drinking the coconut water. Sejun had the strength to easily pierce a coconut with just his finger. Poke poke. He punctured the coconuts, handed them out to his companions one by one, and let them taste the coconut water. Kueha kuang. Hada it's sweet. Kilahit kaying kaying. Hee butler, it's delicious. Great Blackie will drink only this instead of water from now on. Yuhuha it's so good. Kyungi, the Blackie family, and Urin loved it immensely, but once again, Theo and Piat showed little interest. Crunch crunch. When you're done drinking, split it in half like this. Then you'll see the white flesh inside, right? You can eat that too. As Sejun demonstrated eating the coconut's flesh. Thud. A coconut fell to the ground with a thud, shaking the earth. Click click. No, it wasn't just a coconut. A coconut crab approached Sejun, threatening him with its claws. Thud thud. One after another, coconut crabs kept falling from the coconut trees. Since their coconut drop attacks weren't working, they had decided to handle the matter themselves. A quest has been triggered. Quest: eliminate the coconut crabs raiding the coconut farm and reclaim the land rights. Reward: recognition as the rightful owner of the 63rd floor of the Black Tower. At the same time, a land deed quest appeared before Sejun. Hehe, now that I think about it, it's dinner time. Sejun licked his lips as he looked at the approaching coconut crabs. And Moha looks delicious. Poyo also licked its lips, savoring the misfortune radiating from the coconut crabs. Chapter 588, Butler, open your mouth. Hehe, everyone, let's eat now. As the coconut crab dishes were completed, Sejun called his companions. Puhu Hut, Chairman Park, is my grilled fish ready too, meow. Of course it's done, that's why I called. When Sejun placed a plate of perfectly golden brown grilled fish in front of Theo. Puhu Hut, excellent, meow. Theo grinned widely as he looked at the grilled fish. Sejun then continued placing plates of steamed coconut crab and butter-grilled coconut crab in front of the others, and for Piat, he set down a plate of roasted peanuts. Kueha kuang. Hehe, Dad, I'll eat well. Yuehe, thank you for the food. Crunch crunch. While the food fighters Kyungi and Urin skillfully cracked the coconut crabs in half and started eating. Great Blackie's teeth are strong too. Chomp chomp. Hey, why are you eating it with the shell? Blackie was caught by Sejun while chewing on the coconut crab, shell and all. Kaying. Great Blackie wanted to eat it all alone. With a sulky expression, Blackie had no choice but to eat only the coconut crab meat that Sejun peeled and gave. Even though his teeth were strong, the rest of him wasn't as tough. This is easier. Of course, eventually, Blackie gave in to the convenience of being fed and sat like a baby bird with his mouth open. Here say Kaying. Every time Sejun peeled and fed Blackie a piece of coconut crab, Blackie grinned broadly. A little while later, when the dinner was over, I'm full. Kueha kuang. Hehe, Dad, coffee time. Sure, thanks. Slurp. Sejun drank the coffee that Kyungi brewed for him. As expected of our barista Ku. Kueha. Personally, the coffee Kyungi brewed tasted 100 times better than the one served at Mimmer's Golden Ship Hotel. Slurp. So good. As Sejun leaned against the coconut tree while drinking his coffee. Puhu Hut. Kueha. Theo and Kyungi settled themselves by Sejun's lap inside. However, the Blackie family couldn't rest inside Sejun's sling bag. We're still short one good deed, what should we do? They had promised to do 3 good deeds a day with Sejun, but they had only done 2 so far. For reference, Today's good deeds were throwing trash into Ulkin's room trash can and quietly eating coconut crab in Sejun's arms. Because I listened well to the butler, that counts as a good deed too. Anyway, it was an emergency situation. There's not much time left. Since there wasn't much time left in the day, the Blackie family ran around until their paws were sweating looking for good deeds to do. But what counts as a good deed? The Blackie family didn't really understand the concept of good deeds. At that moment, that's right, Great Blackie has a core fragment. Kilahit Kaying. Everyone, Great Blackie found a good deed. Remembering the core fragment Poyo had given to him, Blackie barked excitedly. Oh, magnificent, as expected of the Great Blackie Nim. K. Kurug. Sharaleng. The subordinates praised Blackie. Kaying. All right, now to the butler. Dedada. The Blackie family ran toward Sejun, who was lying down and resting. The good deed Blackie thought of was making Sejun stronger. In Blackie's opinion, helping someone become stronger was an extremely good deed. Who am? Right at that moment, Sejun let out a yawn. Kaying. Butler, open your mouth. Great Blackie's core fragment is coming in. At last, Blackie could proudly declare Fenrir's core fragment as his own. Launching himself, Blackie shoved his core fragment directly into Sejun's mouth. Thunk. With his front paw, he pressed the orb firmly. Gulp. Thanks to Blackie, Sejun was forced to swallow a 7% piece of Fenrir's core fragment. Is this your core fragment? Kaying. Yes, that's right, Butler. Now it's going to hurt a little. What do you mean by that? Just as Sejun was about to ask again, power, Super Sunfish Core, is absorbing the 7% core fragment of Fenrir, the god-hunting noble wolf and first seat of the Apostle of Destruction. Boom! As the message appeared, a hot energy like a volcanic eruption spread throughout his body starting from his stomach. Arg! It hurt so much. It was a burning pain, as if his whole body were on fire. Kaying. Butler, just hang on a little longer, guys, start. Yes. K. Kurug. Sharaleng. Blackie and his subordinates quickly climbed onto Sejun's stomach to help guide the Fenrir's core fragment so it wouldn't run wild. Arg, 1% absorbed. 2% absorbed. With Sejun's screams, the power continued to grow. And then 100% absorbed. Power Super Sunfish Core has. Was it supposed to hurt this much? Thud. Exhausted from the pain, Sejun passed out. Kilahit Kaying. Great Blackie has completed 3 good deeds today. Pew hut. Blackie, well done, meow. Now Great Hybrid Chairman Park has become even stronger, meow. Kuung. Thanks to Blackie, Dad got stronger. Blackie, great job. Having completed his good deeds for the day, Blackie received praise from his older brothers. Now I won't get kicked out. Satisfied with completing his tasks for the day, Blackie lay down on Sejun's chest. Thump. Listening to Sejun's heartbeat. Kirorong. Blackie sprawled out comfortably and fell asleep. Although he had 3 good deeds to do tomorrow, that was tomorrow's Blackie's problem. As Sejun and the Blackie family fell asleep. Gororong. Kurorong. Theo and Kyungi also settled down on Sejun's lap and by his side to sleep. Pirorong. Urorong. Piat and Urin found spots to sleep on Theo's right and left. Lick. Muha, this is a delicacy too. Only Poyo stayed awake, licking the misery off the discarded coconut crab shells while ensuring the campfire didn't go out. Where is this? A beautiful sky, layered with shades of blue and pink. Countless shooting stars fell from the sky, and as they touched the ground, they transformed into majestic dragons and gods who roamed the earth. As Sejun's gaze followed the shooting stars to the ground, he saw vast golden fields stretching endlessly, colorful farmland planted with a variety of crops, a blue river cutting through the farm, a small hut beside the river, and the farm members huddled together playing joyfully. This is my mental world. Sejun realized this was his own mental world. Since he had visited a few times before, he recognized it immediately. But why am I here? Blackie fed me his core. That rascal Blackie, he should have told me it, hurt before making me eat it. As Sejun recalled the situation before he passed out, and felt indignant toward Blackie. Flash. Sejun, you've grown a little stronger. Once again, the brightly glowing being appeared before Sejun, speaking in a warm voice. Unlike before, when it appeared as a simple round sun, this time its silhouette faintly resembled a figure with arms and legs. Are you perhaps that person from before? Sejun asked, looking at the light. Yes, it's me. When the Creator God answered in a kind voice. Hello, but why are you here? Sejun asked cautiously, his tone laced with a hint of wariness. After all, last time they clearly tried to give him work, and ended up getting angry by themselves at the end. Well, the thing is, as I said before, I'm not going to work hard. Before the Creator God could even start speaking, Sejun preemptively cut him off. Yes, Sejun, just keep doing exactly as you are now, and take this. The Creator God sent a glowing blue orb of light towards Sejun. Srrrk. The orb of light was absorbed into Sejun's body. And then, the energy of creation is transforming into the ability most suitable for Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun's survival. All stats have increased by 1,000. Job skill transplanting LV 5 has been acquired. A series of messages appeared before Sejun. Because Sejun had grown slightly stronger, the skill was granted at level 5 from the start. However, frown. The expression on Sejun's face after receiving the gift was far from pleased. Keep doing exactly as I am now. Does that mean you have no expectations for me at all? Sejun was upset because the Creator God had said, just like now, implying no particular hope for his improvement. I can do even better. Why are you looking down on me? No, I didn't mean it like that. What is with this contrarian brat? He didn't want to work hard when I told him to, so I said he could just stay as he is, and now he's mad. What do you even want? The Creator God was flustered. Well then, see you next time. Sensing that he might lose his temper if he stayed any longer, the Creator God quickly vanished. Determined to come, better prepared to deal with Sejun the next time. As the radiant figure, the Creator God disappeared. HMPH, so you have zero expectations of me, huh? Just wait and see. I'll show you the untapped potential of the unscratched lottery ticket Park Sejun. Fueled by his wounded pride, Sejun burned with motivation all by himself. The next morning. All right. Sejun woke up. And, hesitantly, wiggling his toes, he enjoyed the cozy warmth of his companion blanket before checking out the power and skill he had gained yesterday. Power. Super Sunfish Dual Core. This is a core that Blackie and his 7 subordinates painstakingly designed over a long time for Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Butler is weak. To ensure the body could handle it, the powerful core was split into 2 parts. All options are applied at 2x the effect. The options remain the same, but with 2 cores now, all option effects were doubled. An extraordinary growth. However, crack. Butler is weak. Sejun became furious at the words nestled between the options. Blackie, you little rascal. Stretching. Kaying. Sejun grabbed the cheek of the soundly sleeping Blackie and pulled on it, venting his anger, before checking the transplanting skill he had received in his unconscious state, transplanting LV. 5. You can carefully uproot crops without damaging their roots. Even if crops are uprooted from the ground, their state will remain stable for 5 hours. For Sejun, who had already been planning to visit Simon Village, where Oliva was, to dig up a few cinnamon trees and bring them back, it was the perfect skill. However, come to think of it, they looked down on me. Seeing the skill reminded Sejun of how he had been looked down upon in his unconscious state. "All right, everyone, wake up." Sejun hurriedly woke up his companions and had breakfast with them. After finishing breakfast, "Ah, this is nice. Heh, keep your chest warm and your head cool." Leaning back leisurely, Sejun sipped the hot coffee Kyungi had brewed for him. The thought of proving himself to the being who had looked down on him had long since vanished. Why is an unscratched lottery ticket an unscratched lottery ticket? Because it hasn't been scratched. With that, Sejun and his companions leisurely enjoyed their post-meal coffee time. "All right, let's head out now." They moved to the waypoint. When Sejun and his companions arrived at the waypoint, "Who are you to dare hold your head high in the presence of Lord Hida, son of Herova?" The boss of the 63rd floor of the Black Tower, who was guarding the waypoint, picked a fight with them. Black Tower 63rd floor boss, Stone Lizardman Hida. The Stone Lizardman, with gray stone scales instead of green ones, was a rare and powerful type among the lizard men. "But don't you dare disrespect our great hybrid chairman Park, meow." Thwack. The moment Hida picked a fight with Sejun, Theo's front paw flew straight to the back of his head without hesitation. Thud. A stamp was pressed onto his forehead. While Theo was busy making Hida a permanent employee of Sejun Company. Tap. Sejun placed his hand on the red crystal and saved the waypoint. A short while later, "We've arrived." Sejun appeared in Simon Village, where Olivo resided. Meanwhile, at the outskirts of destruction, crunch. 4 black fingers forcibly pried open the black moon, and crimson eyes peered outside. "Where have all the apostles of destruction disappeared to?" A furious destruction roared. Gururuk, Gururuk. From the crimson eyes of destruction, a thick red liquid, whether it was tears or pus, began to pour out, contaminating the surrounding area. Chapter 589, Hee, I am quite popular. Black Tower, 63rd floor, Simon Village. "Excuse me, do you know where Olivanum lives?" "Ah, Olivo's house is, see that Simon Mountain over there. If you follow this path straight toward the mountain, you'll find it." "Thank you." As Sejun followed the villagers' directions to Olivo's house. "Stop right there." Someone called out to Sejun and his group from behind. When Sejun turned around. "Hey, you evil cat, how dare you hit Lord Hida on the back of the head and just leave?" Hida, the boss of the 63rd floor of the tower, was pointing at Theo and shouting. He had been left behind at the waypoint because waking him up was too troublesome. But, unaware that he had become an employee of Sejun Company, he seemed to have come back for revenge. "And are those the ones?" Beside Hida stood a stone lizardman, taller than Hida by a whole head. It was Hida's father, Herova, the lord who governed Simon Village and the surrounding areas. "You scoundrels, how dare you hit my son? Bring them to me and make them kneel before me." "Yes, sir." At Herova's command, 1,000 lizardman soldiers surrounded Sejun and his party, closing in on them. Moments later, "Puhuhut, stamp him, meow." Theo stamped Herova's forehead with the company seal, and Hida became a filial son who even got his father hired by Sejun Company. You bastard, I'll see at home." Herova gritted his teeth as he glared at Hida. "But, Herova, you can't speak informally to your senior. From now on, speak respectfully to Hida." Theo stepped in to organize the hierarchy. At Sejun Company, rankings were determined by the order of joining until promotion, so, thanks to this, Hida became a higher-ranking employee than Herova, and their family hierarchy became completely tangled. Although, compared to the tangled hierarchy of the Blackie family, it wasn't much. Puhuhut. That means all the villages Herova manages now belong to the great hybrid chairman Park, meow. Theo took over all the villages under Herova's control as well. "Well then, good luck. Puhuhut, work hard, meow." Sejun and his companions left Herova and Hida behind and continued on their way to find Olivo. Once Sejun and his group left, "Come with me immediately." Theonim said to speak respectfully. Hitanim, please come with me. He shall I? Hita, oblivious to the situation, followed Herova meekly. Pabubuk. Dad, please spare me. Theonim said to speak respectfully, but he didn't say not to hit you. Hita was beaten to pulp by Herova at home. Is that the house? Puhu hut seems like it, meow. Sejun looked at a shabby house, located at the entrance of Simon Mountain. As they drew closer to the house, bang! The door burst open violently, and Olivo rushed out with a panicked expression. Olive on him. When Sejun called out, Sejunim, please help me. Olivo dropped to his knees in front of Sejun and desperately pleaded for help. Please get up for now. What's going on? Puhu hut, don't hesitate and tell our great hybrid Chairman Park everything, meow. Chairman Park can solve it all, meow. Yes, well. Encouraged by Sejun and Theo, Olivo began to explain the situation. Yesterday, while returning home with his family after picking cinnamon fruits on Simon Mountain, his daughter had been bitten on the leg by a stone-poisoned snake. She was now suffering from petrification poison and was on the brink of death. Even now, her condition was worsening, and Olivo had been on his way to find a healer when he saw Sejun and desperately sought his help, like grasping at straws. Petrification poison, let me see her first. At the mention of poison, Sejun confidently stepped up. He had plenty of detoxifying green onions in stock, so his confidence was overflowing. Yes, she's at home right now. Following Olivo's guidance, Sejun and his group entered Olivo's house. Honey, someone has come to treat Ellie. Welcome, thank you for coming. Yes, let me take a look at your daughter first. Olivo's wife, who had been nursing their daughter, greeted Sejun. And then, huff, huff. A young lizard girl lay unconscious on the bed, breathing heavily. Her leg, bitten by a snake, had almost entirely turned to stone below the left knee. Crunch crack. The petrification was progressing rapidly. At that moment, Moha, it smells delicious. Lick, lick, lick. Poyo suddenly began licking Ellie's petrified leg. Poyo, whose main diet consisted of misfortune, also fed on curses and poisons, anything negative. Thanks to this, the progression of the petrification slowed down. Though it turned out to be effective, it could have easily been misunderstood as something strange. While Poyo licked Ellie's leg, preventing the spread of the petrification poison, Sejun pressed down hard on a detoxifying green onion with both hands, squeezing out its juice. Drip, drip. The green onion juice fell onto Ellie's leg. As it soaked into the petrified areas, the stone began to fade, and the leg gradually returned to its original green scales. Kyung. Swoosh. Seeing what Sejun was doing, Kyungi also followed his lead, extracting green onion juice and sprinkling it on Ellie's leg. Her leg recovered rapidly. Shortly after, she'll be fine now. Sejunim, thank you so much. Here are some cinnamon seeds. Since you saved my daughter, I can't accept any money for them. Olivo expressed his gratitude, handing the cinnamon seeds to Sejun. In his heart, Olivo wished he could give Sejun money instead, but his financial situation didn't allow it. No, it's fine. Part of the responsibility for your daughter's condition lies with me as well. Instead, I have a small favor to ask. What is it? I'll do anything I can. Hearing that Sejun had a request, Olivo replied with determination in his voice, vowing to accomplish it no matter what. Can you guide me to the place where the cinnamon trees are? That's a very simple request. Olivo hesitated, feeling conflicted that the request was so trivial compared to the grace Sejun had shown him. Puhu Hut, if you're grateful to our great hybrid Chairman Park, then become an employee of Sejun Company, meow. Theo pulled out the company seal and spoke to Olivo. I'll join. Puhu Hut, good choice, meow. Stamp. Olivo received the seal from Theo. Puhu Hut, since Olivo willingly accepted the stamp, he'll start as a regular employee, meow. Thus, Olivo ended up with a higher position than Herova, who was an intern, and even received a better salary. Then I'll guide you. Olivo led Sejun and his companions to the location of the cinnamon trees. Outskirts of destruction. What is that? Today, as usual, the great dragons ventured out to earn money for shopping at the dragon market. They discovered thick, sticky, red liquid masses writhing ominously. Countless liquid masses stretched out before them. The sizes varied, but the closer they were to the black moon, the larger they became. The great dragons, wary of the liquid masses, cautiously approached the nearest one. When they closed the distance to about 10 kilometers, wriggle, wriggle. The liquid mass began to move violently, its shape shifting rapidly. Dragon of Destruction. The mass took on the appearance of the great dragons, specifically mimicking the form of the nearest great red dragon, Ramir. Though the liquid mass was smaller in size, it had clearly replicated Ramir's image. How dare you imitate me? Enraged, Ramir unleashed her breath attack toward the dragon of destruction that had copied her form. Q. The dragon of destruction retaliated with its own breath attack. The two breath attacks collided. Naturally, the smaller dragon of destruction couldn't hold up against Ramir's breath attack. Boom! Ramir's breath overwhelmed the dragon of destruction's attack, destroying it. However, wriggle, wriggle. The liquid fragments of the destroyed dragon of destruction didn't vanish. Instead, they slowly began to regroup. And Q. Similar situations unfolded in the surrounding area. The great dragons were battling dragons of destruction that had taken on their own forms. At that moment, Ramir noticed something strange. Around Jormungandr's body, where Earthworm was, the liquid masses vanished completely after being hit by breath attacks. Because the world tree from the Earthworm and the energy of creation produced by the destruction devourers were flowing out of Jormungandr's mouth. The liquid touched by the energy of creation could not regenerate once destroyed. Clang, clang. Moreover, possibly because its density was higher than the energy of destruction, more tower coins were dropping. Perfect, that's the way. Everyone, gather around Jormungandr's body. We can annihilate them in that area. At Ramir's command, the group quickly positioned themselves around Jormungandr's body. Q. They began hunting the dragons of destruction. Thanks to this, the dragon market sales skyrocketed by 100%. Black Tower, 63rd floor, Simon Mountain. Up you go. As Sejun grabbed hold of a cinnamon tree and pulled with all his strength. Snap! The cinnamon tree began to come out with its roots intact. Then you have uprooted a cinnamon tree. Your proficiency in transplanting LV5 has slightly increased. Due to the effect of transplanting LV5, the roots have not been damaged. Due to the effect of transplanting LV5, the cinnamon tree will remain in a stable condition for 5 hours. A series of messages appeared. Now, Sejun was strong enough to easily pull out small trees by sheer force. I'm pretty strong, huh? Transplanting. Feeling smug, Sejun uprooted another cinnamon tree. Kyungi will help Dad. Shug. Of course, Sejun quickly felt a sense of futility when he saw Kyungi pulling out cinnamon trees as easily as if he were picking radishes. But still, none of my roots broke. Sejun comforted himself by looking at the intact roots of his tree. The difference between 99% and 100% may have seemed small, but it was significant to Sejun. After Sejun and his group uprooted 50 cinnamon trees and stored them in the void storage. Sejunim, why don't you come to my house for a meal? Olivo invited Sejun and his group for dinner. Should we? Sejun, planning to check Ellie's condition one more time before leaving, gladly accepted Olivo's invitation. They descended Simon Mountain and headed to Olivo's home. Dinner consisted of flour bread and soup with a little meat. The food was decent enough, but why is she staring at me like that? Sejun found it difficult to eat properly because Ellie was staring at him intently. At that moment, Sejun Oppa, how old are you? 27. Ellie asked with a resolute look on her face. You're 10 years older than me, hee hee, but that's okay. Huh, what is? Getting married. Oh, you mean your legs are cramping? Sejun suddenly raised his voice, interrupting Ellie mid-sentence. He had gone through the trouble of saving her. He couldn't risk letting her die again. I hope Aileen didn't hear that. While Sejun cautiously looked around. Eek! Shiver, shiver. Ellie suddenly started trembling. She heard it. A moment later, Ellie went to lie down in bed saying she wasn't feeling well, and Sejun and his group headed to the waypoint to return home after finishing their meal. On the way to the waypoint, now that I think about it, I just got confessed to. Hee hee, I am quite popular. Feeling proud about receiving a confession, Sejun chuckled to himself. But then, he was struck by the realization that his face fit the aesthetic standards of the lizard race. Vice Chairman Theo, give me a massage. Sejun, feeling the need for improvement, offered his face to Theo first, and Pew Hugh Hut, got it, meow. But Chairman Park's face is already at its best, meow. Sejun felt despair once again at Theo's comment. Killahit Kang. Hee hee, Butler, we'll give you a massage. One good deed succeeded with this. Completely oblivious to Sejun's feelings, the Blackie family excitedly stepped on Sejun's face, smearing it with dirt. Hey, you little rascals. Finally, an enraged Sejun grabbed the fleeing Blackie. Bew 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 bup. Butler is angry, run away. He vented his frustration by blowing raspberries on Blackie's belly. One good deed complete. Kaying. And so Blackie completed one good deed without knowing why, and, as expected of the great Blackie in him, K. Kurug. Sharalang. Following Blackie's lead, the other subordinates presented their bellies to Sejun. Pew Hugh Hud. Q. Of course, Theo and Kyungi also lay on their backs, waiting for their turn. Chapter 590, Couple Ring. Black Tower, 99th floor. Hurry up and eat. Today, while Sejun was away, Flamey visited to feed nutrients to Pottery and Sausage. Yes. Yep. Pottery and Sausage quickly swallowed the nutrients. Then one more, and another, one more again. An endless nutrient hell. Normally, Flamey would have already left by now, but today she stayed to keep feeding nutrients to the two of them. Once Sausage becomes a world tree, the second trial will be cleared. Sausage was the final, 1000th world tree after all. Thanks to this, Pottery, who was next to him, also had to keep eating nutrients, as Sausage was eating his 5th special nutrient made by Flamey. Oh, I'm overflowing with power. Kugagung. Sausage began to grow rapidly. At last he had become a world tree. Time for me to go back now. Good job, everyone. Confirming that Sausage had grown into a world tree, Flamey hurriedly headed to the Forest of Creation to find the trial statue. Oh, this is nice. Sausage realized that promotion wasn't all bad. And your hard times are just beginning. Pottery looked at Sausage with pity. Shortly after, you have arrived at the 99th floor of the Black Tower. Oh, Sausage became a world tree. Sejun, upon reaching the 99th floor, discovered Sausage, who had grown into a world tree. Congratulations, Sausage. After quickly congratulating the Sausage tree, Sejun began sneaking away like a thief, cautiously glancing around as he moved toward home. At that moment, the tower's administrator asks why you are just now showing up. The tower's administrator says we need to have a serious conversation. Aileen spoke to Sejun. A serious conversation. Sejun, feeling guilty, stammered at his words. The lizard girl, Ellie's confession. How dare she flirt with our Sejun? That infuriated Aileen, and the sparks of her anger flew towards Sejun, threatening to burn him as well. Should I just kneel? No, I'm a man, I can't kneel. But wait, Aileen is 200 years old. Considering elder respect, kneeling might be okay. No, still. As Sejun agonized over whether to kneel and beg or just beg, the tower's administrator says she's thought it through and believes there should be a definitive mark to prove that you're the boyfriend of the great black dragon, Aileen Pratani. Aileen continued speaking. My handsome, Sejun will probably have more people flirting. With him in the future, right? I need some kind of countermeasure. This was the solution Aileen had thought of to protect Sejun. A mark, then a couple ring. Sejun, whose knees were nearly touching the ground, suddenly sprang up at Aileen's words. A couple ring. He was thrilled. And then, Aileen, actually, I think a mark is a good idea too. Sejun readily agreed with Aileen's suggestion. The tower's administrator says she's very happy that you agree with her idea. The tower's administrator says then, let's create rings from each other's body parts and exchange them. I agree with the ring part, but making it from our bodies. He'd heard that Aileen's true form was incredibly huge. Then her fingers must be huge too, right? If I were to make a ring that fits Aileen's finger with my body. She's planning to use my entire body as a ring. Shudder. Should I suggest switching it to a badge instead? As Sejun trembled in fear, the tower's administrator asks you to cut off a few strands of your hair. Aileen requested Sejun's hair. Her hair, sure, I can cut as much as you want. Snip. Sejun hurriedly cut off some of his hair and sent it to Aileen. A moment later, the tower's administrator says she has created a ring by combining parts of your body with her own. The tower's administrator tells you to always wear this from now on. Aileen sent Sejun a black ring she had crafted. The ring felt warm, perhaps due to Aileen's lingering warmth. It had a matte finish and no distinguishing features, yet it was strangely elegant and beautiful. Aileen, I'll wear it well. For the first time in his life, Sejun slipped on a couple ring, grinning from ear to ear as he placed it on the ring finger of his left hand. Swoosh! The ring slid smoothly onto his finger. The tower's administrator confidently tells you to check the ring's options. Options. At Aileen's words, Sejun closely examined the ring, lover's ring amplification. A ring forged by melting the horn of the Black Tower administrator, the great black dragon Aileen Pratani, and the hair of Black Tower's tower farmer Park Sejun. The lover's ring amplification and the lover's ring weakening were created as a pair. When the two rings are together, one side's power is amplified, while the other's power is weakened, achieving a delicate balance of power. When worn, all stats plus 500. When worn, greatly decreases the favorability of the opposite sex towards the wearer. When worn, can know the status of the wearer of lover's ring weakening, no matter how far apart they are. If a member of the opposite gender spends more than 10 minutes with the wearer without Aileen Pratani's permission, they will be subjected to a powerful curse. Usage restriction, Black Tower's Tower Farmer Park Sejun. Creator Aileen Pratani. Grade unmeasurable. The options weren't exactly favorable, as Aileen had focused less on protecting Sejun and more on blocking potential rivals, who might try to approach him. But, what did it matter? The fact that it was a couple ring was what was important. That alone made this ring a priceless treasure. Of course, the ring was genuinely astronomically valuable, as it was made from the horn of the great black dragon Aileen. Aileen, good night, After bidding Aileen good night, Sejun fiddled with his couple ring and snore. He drifted off to sleep. Forest of Creation. Candidate of the Tree of Creation. You have successfully raised 1,000 world trees. You have passed the second trial. When the trial statue spoke, does that mean I can start the third trial now? You said you'd seal my power during the third test. Now I can go see Sejun Nim. Excited at the thought of going to see Sejun, Flamey asked in an eager voice. However, no, the third trial requires preparation, so it will take some time. The third trial would not begin immediately. What, can't you just seal my power in advance? No. Then how long do I have to wait? 30 days. The third trial will begin in 30 days. Okay. Flamey became dejected. The next morning, Kivahit. The Blackie family woke up earlier than usual. Kivahit Kaying. Hee, guys, let's go to good deeds. Yes. K. Kuruk. Showering. As Blackie rallied his subordinates. Whoosh. He launched himself at Sejun's face. And then, boo-boop. He blocked Sejun's mouth and forcibly gave himself a belly fart. Hee, you're a genius, great Blackie. You found something that makes you feel good and counts as a good deed. Boo-boo-boop. Looking very pleased with himself, Blackie smiled smugly while receiving a belly fart. But, gasp, hey, I can't breathe. Kaying. Soon, Sejun grabbed Blackie by the scruff of the neck and scolded him first thing in the morning. Blackie's subordinates quietly looked away, pretending they had nothing to do with it. Thanks to Blackie, Sejun woke up early. Hesitantly. He smiled contentedly, gazing at the couple ring on his finger, and then, meow. Kaying. After taking care of Theo and the Blackie family, Sejun stepped outside. You-ham. Stretching languidly, Sejun raised his arms in a big stretch in front of the entrance. Meow. Kaying. Theo and Blackie mimicked him, raising their arms and stretching along with Sejun. Step. Waking up early, Sejun decided to stroll through the farm for the first time in a while, increasing the growth rate of the crops and raising his potential as a reward. The Gondar are grateful for the farmer's footsteps and lend their strength. The effect of great blessing of the crops master activates, increasing the potential of your agility stat from 43,947 to 43,957. As Sejun walked around the farm, raising its potential. Kyung. Good morning, Dad. Kyungi, having just woken up, joined Sejun. Puahiti, brother-in-law. Baby brother-in-law. From afar, Anton's black dragon statue flew towards Sejun and Poke embraced him. But baby brother-in-law, is this really okay? Sejun asked in a worried tone as he looked at Ace. Although he already knew why Ace was acting this way, having heard the details from Aileen. Puahiti, brother-in-law, it's fine now, I helped my sister. Sejun gave Ace the chance to brag freely. Ace's lips were practically itching to deliver this happy news himself. Puahiti, so brother-in-law I. Just as Sejun had predicted, Ace began eagerly chattering about how hard he had worked to help Aileen, explaining every little detail. Is that so? As expected of my baby brother-in-law. Sejun responded with timely reactions during Ace's story, making sure he didn't lose enthusiasm and allowing Ace to continue. Puhahihi, and because of that I get to play with you for 12 hours, brother-in-law. Ace finally finished, saying everything he wanted to share. Oh really? Wow, my baby brother-in-law works so hard. Puahiti. Sejun's heartfelt reactions at the end made Ace puff out his chest in pride. And then, baby brother-in-law, if you keep helping your sister and doing lots of good deeds, you might even get a present for Christmas. Sejun used the opportunity to motivate Ace to keep helping Aileen. Sejun was planning a grand party for this Christmas and wanted to create joyful memories for everyone. Hehe, I'll also need to make a Christmas tree. For that, he had even planted pine trees. But who should pull the sleigh? As Sejun pondered who could pull the sleigh. Christmas? Ace asked with sparkling eyes. He didn't know what Christmas was, but the idea of receiving a gift was enough to make him excited. Yes, it's a day when, if you've done a lot of good deeds throughout the year, Santa Claus sneaks in while you're sleeping and leaves you a present. Puahiti, a present, really? Yes. But brother-in-law, do you think Santa Claus can sneak past my dad and grandpa and come to Ace? Ace asked in a worried tone. It was a very sharp and realistic question. Of course, sneaking past the great black dragons, Kaiser or Anton, to deliver a gift to Ace seemed impossible. However, yes, of course, Sejun answered confidently. After all, Santa would be Kaiser or Anton. Brother-in-law then. Christmas was now 30 days away. Santa Claus is a transcendent being who knows exactly who has been good. While Park Sejun was answering Ace's question, Pew Hu Hut, if you do good deeds, you get presents, meow. Then, when Santa comes to deliver presents, we can catch him and take all the gifts for Chairman Park, meow. Heh. Kyungi wants to do lots of good deeds and get great presents. But if Santa gives a bad gift, Kyungi will punish Santa Claus. Kihihit. Great Blackie has already done 3 good deeds yesterday and the day before, and 1 more today, so that means I'll get 7 roasted and dried sweet potatoes, right? Kihihit kaying. Hee, no. We'll just headbutt Santa Claus and take everything from him. Theo, Kyungi, and the Blackie family were all letting their imaginations run wild, thinking about what they would do when they met Santa. Whichever family they belonged to, their thoughts were uniformly mischievous. As everyone listening to Sejun's story decided they would do good deeds and meet Santa Claus. Moo. Christmas. We yang. If you do good deeds, he gives you presents while you sleep. Kwek. In 30 days. Even the farm members nearby, who were busy working, heard about the news of the upcoming Christmas. And then Black Tower 99th floor, Mushroom Ant 51,123. Sejun Nim said that in 30 days there's this thing called Christmas, and if you do good deeds, you get presents. Black Tower 94th floor, Black Drake Mazek, the ruler of Chikasan. Nonsense. Why would anyone give you presents for doing good deeds? Black Tower 99th floor, Black Minotaur Wuchen Sam, Minotaur 1003. Mazek, watch your words. This came directly from Sejun Nim. Black Tower 94th floor, Black Drake Mazek, the ruler of Chikasan. My apologies. Black Tower 83rd floor, Chestnut Hedgehog Goatery. So, does that mean we should start doing good deeds from today? Black Tower 99th floor, Poisonous Bee 28. Yes. And since Santa comes while you're sleeping, make sure to get plenty of rest. The news about Christmas started spreading throughout the entire Black Tower via Sejun Company's official employee communication network.